When I was little, I found my mom's credit card. And, being a 6-year-old, I saw my mom putting the credit card on her phone, and I knew how she did it. So, I decided that I was going to put it on my phone. So, I put it on my phone, and I was downloading Roblox, because I thought, hey, I can play with my friends here. That day, I spent $2,000 worth of freaking money on Robux. Let's just say a lot of my friends thought I was really cool and rich. When my mom found out, I hid from her for seriously like a day, and then once I got in there, she wasn't mad. She just said I was Captain Robux.
This is why I don't online date. When this happened, I was probably 9 at the time, and I met a guy on Roblox. He was pretty nice, and I liked playing with him, so I friended him, and we played together every once in a while. About 2 months after we became friends, I was playing a game on Roblox, and he joined me. We said hi to each other and started playing together like we normally did. He then asked if I wanted to be his girlfriend, and I said I don't online date and I wasn't comfortable with doing it. He then said, do it or else. I asked him or else what. He said he would do something. I asked him again what he would do. He said he was gonna come to my house. I didn't think that he would. I thought he was just trying to scare me. I asked him how he would do that, and he said he knew my address, and I was starting to get pretty scared at this point. I immediately left the game and I unfriended him. A few days later, I was playing Roblox and I somehow saw him in my game. He walked up to me and Part 2. He walked up to me and I told him to go away, but he said in all caps, be my girlfriend. I said in all caps, no, and leave me alone. I thought he would leave me alone, so I walked away, and he just followed me and said, be my girlfriend or else I will come to your house. I left the game and blocked him, and I started to think he was not a child. About a month later, I had forgot about it, and nothing had happened, just the usual going to school. A few days later, a guy texted me saying, I'm coming to your house. You have to be my girlfriend. I was terrified, so I immediately blocked the number. The next day, we got a knock on the door, and I forgot about the message, and my mom answered the door. It was probably a 50-year-old man, and my mom asked what he needed. He said that he wanted to see me, and my mom asked if I knew him, and I said no. He then yelled at me saying, you must be my girlfriend. I yelled no, and he went to grab me. I screamed as loud as I could and ran back into the house. My mom yelled at him, and Part 3. And my mom called the police on him. He didn't do anything and stood there being weird, saying over and over, you must be my girlfriend, I am lonely. The police arrived and asked the man what the problem is. My mom yelled that the man tried to grab me because I didn't want to be his girlfriend. The police took him, and we haven't heard about him ever since.
Once my brother was playing Minecraft. An hour later he told me that he got a Minecraft girlfriend. I was surprised because I got a Minecraft boyfriend that day too. I was happy for him. My brother kept chatting with his girlfriend and I kept chatting with my boyfriend. We were chatting with them for days and days. Me and my boyfriend would make out in Minecraft. Smirking face. A few days later my mom told my brother to stop playing Minecraft because he was failing every class. Even English. Literally the language he speaks. But I noticed that ever since my brother stopped playing, my boyfriend stopped playing too. I thought it was a coincidence, so I didn't think much of it. My boyfriend didn't play for over a month, so I decided to just cheat on him. But then he joined me and he saw me cheat. We got in a huge fight and I blocked him. But then I heard my brother crying in his room saying he broke up with his Minecraft girlfriend. I told him I broke up with my Minecraft boyfriend too. That was
Among Us story time. So one day I asked my friends if they wanted to play Among Us with me. They were busy, so they said no. I said okay, it's fine, I can just join a public server alone. So I joined a public server. My main color was taken, so I had to be black. A couple games went by and everything seemed normal. Some guy had to go and someone else joined, their color was white. He seemed normal and fine. More games went by and then he started acting really strange. Mind you, the things he's going to say, he said it directly to me. Welcome back to part 2. So the words white is about to say are very inappropriate. So if you want or need to click off this video, please do. People were yelling at him, so he left.
One time I was behind the register at Victoria's Secret. This customer walks in and immediately everybody spots her as a red flag. She's just picking up items, throwing them in her bag, not looking at sizes, not looking at colors. So everybody's like, everyone's on their walkie like, watch this customer. She's coming to the fitting room. She's headed to the cash wrap. Somebody get her. Check her ID. Get her. Get her. She has a bag full of stuff. And guess who gets her at the register? Me. So she comes to my register and she dumps out her stuff and we're having a regular conversation. Hi, how are you? Yada, yada, yada. Her total comes up to probably between $700 to $900. It was expensive. My manager is at the register next to me talking to me on the walkie. Ashley, make sure you get that ID. Don't matter what she's using, make sure you get that ID. So I ask her for the ID because she's paying credit. Why do you need to ask for my ID? Just take it, run it. I'm like, no, ma'am, I'm sorry. I need your ID for the purchase. She starts to raise her voice at me. So she's raising her voice at me. And I'm like, but I couldn't. I just couldn't, y'all. So I was like, I can raise my voice too. Do you want to play this game? Because I'll win, promise. And she's like, oh, well, what time do you get off work? And I'm like, I'm closing. I'm actually getting off at 11. Would you like to pick me up? And then she calls me stupid. She's like, you're fucking stupid. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna eat that. Then she calls me a dumb bitch. Whew. So I took a deep breath. And I said, fuck you, you dumbass bitch. Your broke ass can't even afford these motherfucking clothes and you over here trying to scam me. Fuck off my line. And honestly, me and her just started going back and forth at each other like, My manager's like, go to the back, go to the back, go to the back. I'm still cursing her out as I'm walking to the back of the store. I really thought I would get fired, but I actually didn't.
Story time. My parents found out that I was dating a white boy. So a little background information. My parents are super strict, especially my dad. And on top of that, my dad thought that races should not mix. One of his sayings was, you don't see a blue jay fucking a pigeon. AKA, white people and black people should not be together. Sounds fucking stupid. Yeah, I know. Anyways, like I was saying, it was my freshman year of high school and I had been dating this boy for 2 months. And of course he was white. And we had to keep it super low-key because if any of my friends found out about it, they would have fucking told my dad. Now when I look back at it, those weren't good friends at all. Anyways, every Friday, my boyfriend and I would go to the movies. And we would go to this theater that was 45 minutes away because nobody that I knew would be there. The only person that knew that I was dating a white boy was my sister. Well, the one day after the movies, I couldn't get a ride home, so I had to get a ride home with him and his family. And as soon as I pulled up, my parents were waiting outside, like for part 2. Part 2 about how my parents found out that I was dating a white boy. So like I said, my sister couldn't come pick me up, so I had to get a ride with him and his family. And what do you know, as soon as we pull up to my fucking house, my dad is standing on the porch waiting for me. So I told his parents to drive around the block one more time while I called my sister and told her to distract my dad. So as we're driving up to my house again, I see that my dad isn't on the porch. So I run into the house before he could see me getting out of a white boy's car. So a few months go by and we're still dating, very low key. And the one night at 3 a.m, I get woken up by my sister. And she says, you better delete any pictures that you have of you and you know who off your phone. And you better come up with the story right now. Because one of your friends took pictures of you walking with him in the hallways and kissing him behind the stairwell at school. So after I deleted everything off my phone, a few seconds later, my dad came into my room screaming his head off. He was so mad. I ended up getting my ass beat, and I also got grounded from my phone for 4 months. But after that, my mom ended up leaving my dad, and then him and I got back together.
Okay, so one time in class, our teacher told us that we were gonna have a new student. Me and my best friend at the time looked at each other and whispered, what if he is cute? And while he was walking in, me and my best friend's mouths dropped. He was stunning. My teacher told him to sit next to my best friend, and so he did, and I looked at her and texted her to make a move. He kept staring at me and my best friend got mad. She asked him for his number, and he said no. I felt bad for her cause after school he texted me and asked to hang out. I said yes, but not to tell my best friend. Like for a part 2, here's part 2. So after he texted me, I told him not to tell my best friend. I snuck out later that day and walked to his house. I knocked on his door and my best friend answered the door. She asked what I was doing and I told her everything. She asked me why I was lying, and then the boy showed up in his driveway. I was really confused, but it turns out she snuck into his house to murder him. She is still in jail to this day.
There's a story time that happened in 2nd grade. So my teacher never allowed fidget spinners, and my friend always brought one to school because that was the only thing that helped us focus. But every time she saw it, she would take it, and she would never return it even though she said she was. So me and my friend, I'm gonna call her Jalen, and my other friend, I'm gonna name her Caitlin. So me, Jalen, and Caitlin all had this plan to sneak into school and take our fidget spinners. So at recess, we had this plan spot behind the tree, and we would all talk about it. This girl even didn't eat her lunch because her teacher took away her fidget spinner. Anyway, we all had this plan to sneak in school and break the windows, go in class and steal all our fidget spinners and give them back to the owners. But every time we talk about it, we'd get caught by this one kid named Nathan, and he would all go tell the teacher. But the teacher didn't care, obviously, because she knew we weren't going to do it. Like for part 2. Okay, part 2 of the fidget spinners. Okay, so as you know, Nathan was going to tell on us, and the teacher obviously didn't believe us because we were little kids and he knew we wouldn't do that. So we all had a plan that the next day we would all meet up at the playground in the school at 6 p.m. So that day, no one showed up. I didn't even show up. And the next day at school, we all got mad at each other for not showing up when we all said we showed up, but you guys didn't. And I didn't show up. My friend didn't show up. None of us showed up. But we just lied about showing up. So we just gave up and we just never did it again because we knew we would never get our fidget spinners. Tell me if you want more.
This is why waking up late might just save your life. One day when I was in elementary school, my mom and I both overslept, which meant I wouldn't be ready in time to get on the bus. School started at 8, my bus pickup time was at 7, and it was already 6:40 or something. I was still in my PJs and hadn't even had breakfast yet. My mom decided that today we would just tell the bus driver to go on ahead and she would take me to school, which would give me plenty of time to get ready. It's 6:50, I'm in my PJs eating breakfast, and that's when we hear the bus pull up 10 minutes earlier than scheduled. My mom peeks her head out of the door into the foggy morning and waves the bus on. She closed the door and came back inside, but the bus didn't pull away. There's a knock at the door and my mom opens it to find a man in a bus driver uniform. He explains he's a substitute bus driver because the regular driver called in sick and that he's early because he wanted to get an early start on the route. My mom says she's taking me to school because we woke up late. He gets visibly upset and says he can wait a few minutes since he's already ahead of schedule. My mom says that we won't be ready in a few minutes and tells him to go on ahead. He seemed really angry about this, but turned around, got back on the bus and left. But at 7 a.m., another bus pulls up to my house. My mom went out to talk to them and came back looking terrified. Part 2 of why sleeping in might just save your life. After talking to the bus driver, my mom came back looking terrified, but she didn't say anything about it and told me to finish getting ready for school. At the time, I didn't know what happened, but my mom would end up telling me a few years later. When she went to the second bus, she found out it was being driven by my regular driver and it was full of other kids that are usually on my route. By the way, the other bus was empty. My mom asked the driver about the substitute driver and about him calling in sick. He tells her that he never called in sick and there is no substitute driver on his route. The driver immediately called dispatch in a panic and told my mom to go inside and call the police and report this incident, which she did without me knowing at the time. There was absolutely no one doing my driver's route that day. Whoever this was most likely a kidnapper who had targeted me. I never heard anything about it again, not even if someone else had ended up being picked up by this mysterious fake bus driver. But chances are, had I gotten on that bus, I would never have made it to school or back home. And if we hadn't overslept on that specific day, I would have been on that bus.
This is the reason why everybody thought I dropped out of high school. Over the 4 years of high school, I was probably in school a total of 100 times altogether. And this wasn't because I was lazy, I mean partially, but it was mostly because I have really bad stomach problems. So I always had these doctor's appointments, I was always missing school because my stomach hurt. So then my junior year, since my attendance was really bad, they decided to put me on home instruction. This means that teachers will come to my house for about 2 hours a day, 3 days a week. And my teachers had to bring with them these time slips, for example saying that they saw me from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And when I was a minor, my dad had to sign it. And when they hand in those time slips, those are the hours they're getting paid for. So I had this one teacher. She was my history teacher, but we would literally just gossip the entire time. She was mad chill. Sometimes, though, she would cancel on me, and sometimes I would cancel on her. But this was my senior year, so I was 18. So I was able to sign the time slips. So I saw her once a month when I was supposed to see her 4 times a month. So every time she came, I signed 4 time slips. I got the credit, she got the check.
Story time of the most dirtiest college roommate ever. By the way, we're calling her Jessie. So I moved in before Jessie and I get settled and decorate. The next day, she comes and throws her bag on the bed, then leaves. I thought it was weird because she didn't even say anything to me. Couple hours later, she comes back and I'm like, hello? And she's like, my bad, and comes gives me a hug. She smelled very bad. She starts unpacking all of her clothes and blankets, but they smelled like mildew. Anyways, a week later, there's this party going on for freshmen, and she goes, but I stay in because I had a migraine. I told her that when she comes back, can she keep the light off? Now it's 2 a.m., and she comes back in very loud, uses the bathroom, then goes to sleep. And now I'm up, so I got up to use the bathroom too. When I sit down on the toilet, I feel something very squishy. It was dark because, like I said, I had a migraine. I get up, turn the light on, and I was sitting in her shit.
For sharing okay anyways. Story time about my 2 super toxic friends. Okay, so at the time I was in 4th grade and had just changed to a new school and I didn't know anybody. Then I saw these 2 girls and I decided to go over to them and ask them to play. They said, sure. Then we talked for a bit, then shortly after the bell rang and we went inside. They ended up being in the same class as me and I thought it was amazing because then I wouldn't be alone. I noticed that one of the girls was sporty and dramatic while the other was pretty much a spoiled brat. I still wanted to be friends with them even with their personalities. Then a couple days later one of the girls, let's call her Liz, and the other girl Addie. So basically Addie was mad at Liz for some stupid reason. Those 2 ended up getting into a fight 24/7. Then I got dragged into this drama too. I ended up upset at Addie. They figured that they were gonna team up against me afterwards. They started picking on me and saying rude things to me. I came home crying every day. After the first 3 days of me coming home crying, my parents told me to not hang out with them anymore because they were rude. I continued to hang out with them because I was not very smart back then and had never had many friends. This went on for a year. I stopped talking to them after that. Now Addie messages me asking to be my friend again, saying that she's my BFF, and yeah.
After moving to a new city, I met this guy on Tinder. Our relationship was progressing really fast, and after a few weeks of dating, I found out I was pregnant. We went to the hospital where they confirmed I was pregnant, but very early on. My boyfriend was furious. He said he didn't sign up for this, and he knew people who could quote-unquote get rid of it. I told him I'm going through with this, with or without him. I didn't speak to him for a couple days when he reached out saying he wants to be part of his child's life. He moved in immediately so that we could start saving money. The morning after he moved in, he made breakfast for me. I was extremely nauseous and not in the mood to eat anything. He started yelling at me and saying it's for the baby, I can't be selfish. Less than 24 hours later, I was bleeding uncontrollably. He told me it was nothing and I shouldn't seek help. When the bleeding didn't stop, I went to the hospital where they told me I was no longer pregnant. I had no suspicion he had anything to do with it, so we stayed together. Weeks later, I finally kicked him out because of the abuse he was giving me and my dogs. I found out I was pregnant and I told my OB the situation, and that's when she told me I most likely didn't miscarry but was given something to dispel my pregnancy. My daughter is now 2, but still live in fear of seeing him in public.
Our parents took us to this really fancy restaurant for my birthday and I was so excited. Anyways, as we were looking through the menu to order something, my mom gasps like she's seeing a ghost. What? Mommy dear, are you alright? She whispered, look at the price, OMG. I see my mom whisper something to my brother and sister and gives my brother a ring. Man, I was confused as a fucking rock, but I didn't think anything of it. So she sees the waiter and says go. I'm literally sitting with a frown on my face, and then my brother gets on his knees and proposed to my sister while everyone was staring at us like we're aliens from Area 51. And to make matters worse, she said yeah, I'm literally staring at them. Processing all this shit, the manager came and congratulated us and told us we didn't have to pay for anything, which meant we got free food. My family started cheering like, shut up. He calls me to his office and said we can only get free food if I have an affair with him. I didn't want to disappoint my family, but I didn't mind because he was hot. So we started making out and things escalated to us having the dirty, and he was so good at it. So after that
Friend took him back to the hotel room. Part 2 about how I found my boyfriend and his best friend 2 minutes and they just did not hear me, did not look over, did not see me or anything. Eventually I literally was like, what the, and they both look over and my boyfriend is literally, it's like he saw a ghost. So I leave the room, he gets dressed, he comes over to me and he starts talking to me. Part 3 about me finding my boyfriend and his best friend hooking up. So like I said, after I catch my boyfriend and his best friend naked together in bed making out, he takes me into the living room to have a talk. And I thought he was just gonna say, oh, I'm drunk, it didn't mean anything. Nope, complete 360, total opposite, not at all what I thought. He was like, listen, like, you know, I've been meaning to tell you this for a while. I just didn't know how to tell you. My parents are super religious. If I ever told them that I was gay, they would never accept me. They would cut me off, everything. And his parents were super rich. So I kind of understood, but I was pissed the fuck off. Like, you wasted so much time in my life just to tell me you were gay. So he was like, we can still have the wedding and everything like that. You know, I understand if you don't want to be with me. So we kind of made a deal that, you know, if I stay with him, I can pretty much have access to all his family's money. I can buy the house that we were going to buy. So currently, while he is hooking up with other men, I have a boyfriend, but we just act like we're together.
Valentine's Day story. So I was in 4th or 5th grade, and at the time, Uvu video chat was a huge thing. It was exactly like house party. So there was a boy in my class, and I had a huge crush on him, and I would ask him every single day after school if he could Uvu me. One day he had some type of after school sport, so he couldn't Uvu me until later in the day. And that one day being the day before Valentine's Day. In elementary school, we would decorate these tissue boxes, and then we would bring candy to school and put it in each other's tissue boxes. So I asked him what he was bringing to hand out, and if he had anything special for someone that he liked. He said no. My mom had bought me these ring pops to hand out to all my classmates, and then she had these big fun dip things at home for me. So I decided I wanted to be special and surprise him with a fun dip. So it was probably 7 or 8 o'clock, and my mom told me I had to go to bed. But I was always that person that wouldn't hang up until the other person hung up, even if I said bye first. So we say bye, but I stay on the screen. And he started jerking off.
Story time about how I dated 2 brothers at the same time, and they both knew it. So I'm a personal trainer, and last year these 2 brothers came into my gym and wanted personal training. Well, I signed them up and they started training with me. They both constantly flirted with me, but I knew that they both had girlfriends. So I would usually train them at the same time, but they decided to train separately. This is when things got a little tricky. So one of the brothers, I'll call him James. James was always flirting with me, and he made it very clear that he liked me. Every time he would flirt with me, I'd be like, hey, don't you have a girlfriend? He'd say, yeah, but you know, we're kind of breaking up soon. I never took him seriously though. And the second brother, let's call him John. John also flirted a tiny bit, but he was a little bit more shy than James. Lo and behold, James comes into the gym one day and says that he broke up with his girlfriend, and he started crying, and I felt really bad for him, and we talked for a bit, and then we trained, and then afterward he asked me if I wanted to get a coffee. I said sure. Went to get a coffee, and we basically talked about his relationship. At the end of the coffee date, he actually kissed me. Part 2 of how I dated 2 brothers at the same time, and they both knew it. So James told me that he broke up with his girlfriend, and we ended up going for a coffee, and he actually kissed me. Because I was his personal trainer, I thought of him as a client. So basically, I didn't think it would go anywhere. On my next session with John, his brother, John says, hey, James said that you guys went on a little date. And I said, it wasn't a date. He said, well, when am I going to take you on a date? I said, I thought you had a girlfriend. He said, no, we actually just broke up over the weekend. So I said, sure, we can have lunch. It doesn't have to be a date. And he said, sure, that's fine. So we ended up going for lunch, and he was way more shy than his brother James. And this actually made me like him. We basically had a 3-hour-long lunch. We talked about every single thing you can imagine. We got along super well, and I love that he wasn't trying to flirt with me the whole time like his brother. Then COVID hit and my gym closed, so I couldn't train anyone. Well, this didn't stop them from wanting to hang out with me separately. I basically started going out with each of them separately, and they both knew it. So one day I'm at the beach with John, and his ex comes up to us and throws a beer at him. Part 3 of how I dated 2 brothers at the same time, and they both knew it. I was at the beach with John, one of the brothers, and his ex came up to us and threw a beer at him. And she said, wow, you're doing it again. I was confused. I had no idea what she was talking about. So John says, James and I need to talk to you. He drove me to his place where James was waiting for us. And they basically told me that they were both dating me at the same time and that they didn't mind, and they just basically wanted me to be their shared girlfriend. I was totally confused, bewildered, and I just didn't even know how to respond. And I asked him what his ex-girlfriend meant by, you're doing it again. And he explained that she was also their shared girlfriend and that she wanted to be with them again. It was so messed up. So I didn't speak to them for a few days because I was really confused, but then James talked to me and he said, look, if you're not comfortable with this, we won't do it, but let's just try it out. Just be our shared girlfriend, you'll see, you'll love it. So I became their girlfriend, and we dated for 3 months. Showered me with gifts, paid for everything, and of course I had so much attention. One day I would hang out with one, and then the following day I'd hang out with the other one. Part 4 of how I dated 2 brothers at the same time, and they both knew it. So they basically asked me to be their shared girlfriend. I said yes because I liked them, and they were actually really good boyfriends. So we dated for 3 months. And then their ex shared girlfriend, so yeah, they had a girlfriend before me who they shared. She sent me a DM on Instagram, and she was like, hey, look, I need to tell you something. She warned me that they were looking for a new girlfriend and that they would break up with me. I didn't believe her. Instead, I went to James and John and I said, look, is this true? And they said yes. They told me they only dated girls for 3 months, no more. And that basically our time was up. I was shocked. I felt so used. And stupidly enough, I had fallen in love with them, I know. After that, they didn't talk to me at all. Then I found out that they both had a new girlfriend and they were both sharing her. Like me. So I started an Instagram group with all of their ex-girlfriends. And we told their new girlfriend, and she broke up with them. But guess what? John asked me to be his girlfriend again through text. We've been texting for like a week now.
This is a story time of why I dropped out of high school on my first day. And when I say my first day, I mean my first day of freshman year. After this, I never went back. So like I said, it was the first day of freshman year and I have extreme anxiety. My anxiety is literally so bad. I literally get anxiety just by waking up in the morning. So I was super anxious for my first day of high school. I literally was running around the school. I could not find my classes. I walked into the wrong classroom several times. It was so embarrassing. But then I finally made it to my first class. I sat down in the front of the classroom. Bad idea. After running around the school and not being able to find my classes and walking into different classes that I wasn't supposed to be in, which was so embarrassing, my stomach was literally in my ass. My stomach was literally bubbling because of my anxiety. I felt so much pressure in my stomach I needed to let some out. And I thought I could get away with it, a little silent fart. It was silent, but it was not a fart. I shit my pants. Then the teacher says we're gonna go around the classroom and everyone has to stand up and say one thing about ourselves. Starting with me, since I was sitting at the front. Now this is what happened. This is part 2 of why I dropped out of high school my first day of freshman year. So like I said, I just shit myself in class. The teacher says we have to go around the room and everyone has to stand up and say something about themselves. And of course, I had to be sitting in the front of the classroom and I had to go first. So I just told her I didn't feel comfortable standing up and I'd rather sit down. But she said that I had to stand up and everybody has to stand up. So I clearly did not have many options and I decided that I was gonna stand up. And so I stood up and everybody gasped, even the teacher. The teacher literally made everybody get out of the classroom. And I knew from there on out, I could not show my face in that school anymore. I knew all day everyone was going to talk about that one kid themselves in class. Yeah, the teacher took everyone out of the class and then I got myself cleaned up. Went to the office, told them what happened. They called my mom. They let me go home. I cried to my mom and told her I could not show my face at that school anymore. And so she pulled me out of high school and I just did online until I graduated.
This girl who used to bully the shit out of me DM'd me on Instagram. We are going to call her Emma. Emma DMs me and she's like, hey, we should meet up at Starbucks. I want to catch up. I want to tell you stuff. And my dumb ass was like, okay, let's do it. But the day comes when we're meeting up. So obviously I took an Uber there. I was gonna be a little late, so I called Emma and I was like, hey, my Uber's taking long. Can you please get my drink so we can talk more and I'll pay you back? And so she said she would, so it was cool. I get to Starbucks. So me and Emma are drinking our drink and then I start feeling very sick to the point where I was fainting and throwing up really bad. So I went to the bathroom and this lady followed me into the bathroom and told me that the girl that I was with, Emma, put a pill in my drink and I was gonna go confront Emma about it, and by the time I went back, she had ran away. So I ended up calling an Uber to go home because I was not feeling well at all. Like I was dying. The Uber comes and guess who is in the Uber? Emma! She locks the doors immediately. So I get in the Uber and I did not see Emma at first, but then she popped up right after I put my seatbelt and we went on the road. Emma then locked all the doors, broke my phone. I couldn't really do anything because at this point I was really weak from what she had put in my drink, and started spraying me with pepper spray, which hurt really bad. At this point, I'm basically weak. I'm like fainting every second and I have pepper spray everywhere. I don't have my phone. And Emma starts laughing at me. This is the best part. So she ends up dropping me off at an alley in the middle of nowhere that was like 2 hours from my house. I found this out because someone ended up driving by the alley and they asked me if I needed help, and then they helped me and I contacted my parents and the police. Obviously the police got Emma, but I am not allowed to say more about Emma other than this story. But yeah, don't meet up with your bullies, or at least the crazy ones.
Story time of how I burned down my entire house when I was I knew exactly what I did, and I blamed it all on my brother. And to this day, they still think it's my brother, even though it was in my room, but my family believed whatever I said. Anyways, the whole backside of the house was on fire, and we all rush out of the house. And of course, my mom takes care of it. I'm pretty sure she called 911. Well, duh. Sadly, our 2 cats, 2 bunnies, and 4 hamsters were in the house, and our bird, but our bird was getting ready to pass anyways. I'm not sure how, but the house caught on fire so quickly, and the entire thing just blew up into flames. There might have been something else that the fire triggered to make it more big, I guess. I don't really know how to word that. But we ended up raising enough money to move to a different house because we lost every single one of our belongings.
When the house burned down, there was only one wall standing, and it was the wall of pictures of my grandma who passed 10 years ago.
This is one of the biggest lies I ever told to get myself out of trouble. So back in high school, I used to run on the cross-country team, but by no means was I competitive or athletic at all. I was honestly just there for the social aspect of it. All throughout my freshman year of high school, I would literally run to Cold Stone Creamery to get ice cream and bring it back to everyone on my bus. I don't know if that tells you what kind of athlete I was, but yeah. Somehow I still didn't get caught for doing this stuff, and by later in high school, my friends and I decided to pretty much never go. I mean, we would show up to practice, but we would wait until everyone was ahead of us and then turn the opposite direction and sprint to Starbucks. We literally did this almost every single day. And then we would call cute boys from other schools to come meet us over there. We would literally get coffee with them, go shopping, and then once we saw the team getting close again, we would just run back to school and pretend like we did the workout. Until one day, I was called down to the principals. They said it had to do with my cross-country attendance.
But I'd also like to say that I've never gotten caught for anything before. At least, like, not school-wise. But I guess somewhere in this, the coaches started to take attendance mid-run. Sneaky. So I obviously had some absences. However, it was just me and one other girl that was called down to the office. So when I went in to talk to her, the only thing that could come to my mind to explain the absences was that I had an injury and I wasn't included in the workouts, so I just left and the coaches must have forgotten. And she bought it. However, rip my friend. They actually had camera footage of her leaving, so it wasn't like there was anything I could do to get her out of it. She got 3 days of detention, I believe, and I just went back the next day like nothing was wrong. But I ended up getting into a lot more trouble that I didn't actually get caught for, and that'll be next.
Story time about how I found out that my mom was sleeping with my history teacher to get me better grades. So it was my junior year of high school, and everybody knows that your junior year is the most important year of high school. If you didn't, well, now you know. My brother was in his senior year of high school, and when he was a junior, he had the same teacher, so he knew how hard the class was. So he would stay up with me every night helping me to pass my history class. Well, the one day I'm at school and I'm taking a test, and I literally did not know anything on the test. And I studied the night before for literally 4 hours straight. So I decided to copy off the girl next to me. Well, a few days later, we get our test back, and I'm looking at mine, and I got a 97%. And then I look over to the girl next to me, she got a 33%. And then I started going through the tests, none of the essay questions looked like my handwriting, but I didn't say anything because I wanted that A. Well, the one night, I'm sitting down with my family having dinner, and I told them that I copied off the girl next to me, and how I got a 97% and she got a 33%, and my brother flipped. Part 2 of my mom sleeping with my history teacher to get me better grades. So like I said, I told my parents that I got a 97, she got a 33. And I was telling them how the handwriting didn't even look like mine and everything. And then my brother starts flipping out in front of my dad too. He goes, "Mom, fucking serious? You couldn't let her try and do this on her own?" And I was super confused. Like, I thought that maybe he was talking about my mom paid off the teacher. But then he said, "Yeah, Dad, if you didn't know, Mom's been f***ing our history teacher to get us better grades." And then he goes, "Mom, you're such a f***er." And my mom's sitting there not even fazed. She just took a drink of her wine and said, "Get upstairs now." Before my brother leaves the table, he goes, "Maybe you can f*** Dad's boss too. Maybe he'll get a raise." And then I realized what was happening. And it's around 6:30 p.m. So after that, a lot of stuff happened. My dad obviously wanted to get a divorce at that point. So my dad took my brother and I to our grandparents, and we stayed with them for like 2 weeks. But then everybody at school found out, and we got made fun of a lot. And then after that, we moved schools.
So there was this guy and this girl, and they met through Tinder, and then they met up and they went on this date. And they were out at dinner, and then she starts not feeling so well. And then she says, "I really need to go home." And he says, "Yeah, I'll drive you home." And she says, "Okay." So then they get to her house, and then she starts feeling better. So then she says, "Do you want to come in for some coffee?" And then he says, "Yeah, sure." So they go inside, they have their coffee, and then she doesn't feel well again. And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't feel well again. I think you really need to leave." And he's like, "Okay." And he leaves. And then she goes to bed, and in the middle of the night, she wakes up, and she hears this noise down in her kitchen. And so she locks her door, and she calls the cop. And the 911 operator is just on the other line saying, "Can you just stay on the line until the cops get there?" And then the cops get there, and they're like, "The door is locked. Like, we don't think anyone's inside." And she's like, "I promise you, someone's inside my house. I can hear them." She says, "You have my permission to break down the door." So she's still up in her room, and then she hears the cops break down the door, and then she hears some wrestling and some fighting. Part 2 of the Tinder story. So then after the cops break down the door, they go upstairs and they knock on her door, and they're like, "It's okay, we've got the guy, everything's fine." And they say to her, "We don't really want you to stay here tonight. We don't think that you should see what he's done." And when I say he, it's the guy that she went on a date with. And she's like, "No, I need to see what he's done." So she goes downstairs and she sees her kitchen wrapped all in plastic, and there's a saw and a hammer and a knife. And earlier when he came into her house for coffee, he set his keys down right next to her keys. And so when he left, he picked up both sets of keys. And that is how he got back into her house. And they tested her, like her blood and everything, and she wasn't supposed to wake up because of how many drugs were in her system, because on the date he drugged her. And then I guess he was just planning on chopping up her body in her own kitchen. I don't know. Stay safe.
So one day this random guy added me on Snapchat.
I added him just because you really never know. It could be my soulmate or something. Like, you know,
We're gonna call him Larry.
So right when I added Larry, he sent me a snap.
Oh, this is the best part. Just wait, sweetie. So it was a photo of a wall with pictures of me, baby pictures of me, even a picture of my cat, with like tiny post-its all around it. And in the caption, he was like, I manifested you, you cannot leave anymore.
I was kind of scared, so I blocked him.
And I remember I left to my grandma's house because I was just really scared to even be in my own house. And so the next morning of me staying at my grandma's house, we got mailed this like big box with like confetti in it. And there was this envelope, and I remember the envelope was like, hey, it's Larry. I told you you cannot leave. And my family's number was there, our address was there, and a bottle of pepper spray. Well, after Larry sends me a box with not only a letter saying that I cannot leave him, the letter also has my family's numbers, my address. Well, after receiving this lovely package, I mean, it's, what else could you ask for? I decided to ask my grandma's neighbors, like, did you see anyone drop off this box? Anything. I'll take anything at this point. They all said no, so I was like, okay, you know what, whatever, I'm just gonna sleep on it tonight. Maybe this Larry person just tweaked out a little bit, you know what happens to all of us, whatever. Oh, I was so wrong. Okay, so guess what happened the next morning? We get a letter from Larry! So this time the letter's like, you cannot escape me, I will follow you everywhere. And so I was like, bet. So I know this guy who's really good at hacking people. I told him about my situation and he agreed to help me. Long story short, I unblocked Larry, sent him a snap with his full name, his number, everything. And I was like, still wanna follow me?
Story time about how my boyfriend was cheating on me for 3 months straight at his new job. So a little background information. At this point in our relationship, I did not have much trust for him because of his cheating in the past. Well, when he got this new job, I decided that I was going to start trusting him. I don't know why, stupidest thing I've ever done. So a month goes past, he's been working at this place for a while, and he comes home one night with a girl's phone number in his pocket. And I'm like, whose phone number is this? He's like, oh, one of the girls that I work with wants me to talk about her problems with her. So I threw the number away and I started to get really paranoid. But every time that I would get paranoid, he would be like, babe, I'm not doing anything, you know, like I really love you, I'm trying to change. And he said that literally every night. And his brother worked with him. Well, the one day he really pissed his brother off, so his brother was like, I'm telling her everything that you've been doing. So he calls me and says he's been fucking 2 other girls at work. Part 2 about my cheating boyfriend. So after I got off the phone, he's trying to convince me that it's not true, saying that the only reason why his brother would say that is because he was mad at him, which I kind of believe because his brother did lie 24/7, or try to play jokes on everybody. So I ended up believing my boyfriend, and to put the icing on top of the cake, I believed him even more because his brother texted me saying that it wasn't true. So a few months go by and he quits that job, and at this time him and I were really on and off because I didn't like the way that I was being treated. While being broken up for a few days, I got the app Tinder. And I guess the day after I got my Tinder, his friend showed him the app and he got it too. And the first person that he saw whenever he logged onto the app was me. So he texted me saying, you're a whore and I'm so happy I cheated on you with that girl. And that really broke my heart, because every night he would come home telling me he loved me after he did whatever with those girls. And anytime I got paranoid about him cheating, he would comfort me.
So this is how you can get all these new things, all this delivery food, and all this new gaming stuff for a ridiculously cheap price. So, okay, the free...
My friend's mom tried to stab me and my sister. Story time.
Yes, honey, you heard that right. She tried to stab us with a knife. So at the time, me and my sister were 8 and 9 years old. And we went to the pool every single day. And we eventually made friends with this boy. We're gonna call him Tomato. Then our parents ended up making friends with Tomato's mom. Like, they ended up becoming really good friends. And after a couple months, Tomato eventually asked me and my sister to spend the night. Well, our parents surprisingly said yes. This is the one time, and the one time only, I wish my parents would have said no. Well, anyways, we went to the sleepover. By the way, it was our first sleepover we've ever been to. So we get there around 5 and we're having a blast. We made forts, we watched DT, we ate popcorn. For our first sleepover, it was going wonderful. However, the whole time we were at this sleepover, his mom was in her room. 11 p.m. comes around and the mom comes out of her room, smelling like alcohol. She was drunk. And she comes out and she starts screaming at us. She thought we were home invaders. Then she goes in the kitchen and grabs a knife.
And coming for us. And I was like, oh, hell no. So I told my sister, I was like, Katie, leave. Katie was the closest to the front door. And because of that, I was like, Katie, leave. Like, don't worry about me. Just run out the door. And she runs out the door. Luckily, our bags were still packed. So I grabbed our backpacks or whatever because I was going to use it as a shield because she was running for me. My sister wasn't in her vision. Like, I was like, she was staring right at me, like right dead into my soul, charging at me with a freaking knife. I grab our stuff and I'm just like running towards the front door. She literally like almost slices me and I'm just like, ooh, ooh. I never ran so fast in my life. I booked it out of her house. Her son, Tomato, he was yelling at his mom and he's like, what are you doing? They're my friends. We invited them over. You don't remember? I felt so bad. He was like 7 at the time. I literally felt so bad for Tomato. I'm just like, damn. I turned around when Tomato started yelling at his mom. Like, I was already out of the house, and I turned around because I heard Tomato yelling. His mom is, like, holding Tomato while he's yelling at her, and she's just, like, holding her knife, and she's like, what? Like, lady, you're crazy. You're literally insane, but whatever.
Story time about how my boyfriend's best friend tried to ruin our relationship. So a little background information. My boyfriend used to be best friends with this one girl. We're gonna call her Jamie. Well, Jamie and my boyfriend were best friends for years. And their friendship was more flirty than anything. Well, him and I got to know each other during track season. So we were always hanging out after school. And sometimes Jamie would be there too. Well, the one night him and I were on FaceTime and we were talking about how we really liked each other. So the next day we started dating. And I was good friends with Jamie too. Then after we started dating, she started acting really weird towards me. Like, I would try to say hi whenever I saw her in the hallways, and she would just give me a dirty ass look. So then I told my boyfriend how I thought that she was really mad at me. And he said that he would talk to her. Well, a week before him and I started dating, she told us that there was this guy that she really wanted to ask to prom. And she said that she liked him for a while. Well, then my boyfriend said, apparently a few days ago you were hitting on the boy that she was going to ask to prom. So then I started to connect the dots and I was like, oh Part 2 about how my boyfriend's best friend tried to ruin our relationship. So like I said, I started to connect the dots after that. And then I realized that she was talking about my boyfriend. We're just going to call him Josh. So as he's telling me this, I immediately get a FaceTime call from her. So I answer the phone, and she says, well, I think I should just confront the situation now. So the first thing that she says is, you knew I liked Josh. Like, how could you do this to me? I had a poster board and everything. So I'm just like, well, why didn't you tell me that you liked him? And she goes, like, you knew. But I was sitting there thinking about the fact that they were best friends for 5 years and nothing ever happened, so it's really not my fault. And then this girl has the nerve to say, I'm pretty sure if you just break up with him now, me and you can get past this and still be friends. So I said no. So then I called my boyfriend, told him that we talked it out, and I didn't even tell him about what she said or anything like that, because I just wanted the situation to be over and done with. So a few weeks after that, she decided to get her brother involved. Her brother and Josh were best friends, by the way. Well, then her brother told Josh that him and I had been hooking up too about my boyfriend's best friend trying to ruin our relationship. So like I said, then she got her brother involved. And her brother and Josh were best friends. A little background information here. Josh had stopped talking to Jamie for those few weeks after she called me that night because she was making things really awkward in our relationship and just giving us a lot of problems. So the one night, Jamie's brother texts Josh and he's like, bro, I think it's mad sus how you cut her off when your girlfriend's the problem. So obviously Josh texted him and said, what do you mean? And her brother was like, she hits me up all the time to hang out. We've been hooking up. I can even send. And before I started dating Josh, there was this boy that I was talking to for like 6 months and I ended up sending him. And yes, they got around the school. But surprisingly, Josh had no idea about them. So her brother sent Josh the and said, bro, here, like, see her face is in it and everything. Lesson learned, don't put your face. So then me and 3 other people explained to my boyfriend that those were from a while ago. And after that, he just blocked both of them and we're still together.
Story time of how my entire virtual online class found out that I was pregnant and one of them ended up telling my mom. So due to COVID where I live, there is no in-person school, so everybody is virtual. So I was in my first block, and you only have to turn on your cameras for when she does attendance and then when you're talking. So I was called on and I had to answer a question, so I unmuted myself and I turned on my camera. And then when I was done, I turned off my camera and I think I forgot to mute myself back. After that, during that week, I was already having a pregnancy scare, so I FaceTimed my boyfriend and I went to go take a pregnancy test. Mind you, I don't really listen in class to begin with, so I turned the volume all the way back down because when the teacher calls on you once, she doesn't call on you again. So again, I couldn't hear anything happening in the classroom. So while I was on the phone with my boyfriend, I was freaking out while I was taking a pregnancy test, and it ended up coming back positive. So I started freaking out and I started bawling my eyes out, and in my room, I was screaming, I'm pregnant, what am I gonna do? I look back over and the session had ended, and everyone in that class is texting me like, oh my god, are you okay? I'm here for you, blah, 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 blah. So of course I start to freak out. Part 2 of how my whole entire online class found out that I was pregnant and one of them told my mom. So continuing with the story, I texted a couple of them back and I was like, how did you know? And they were like, we heard you sobbing in the background screaming, I'm pregnant. Then one of them goes, we heard some guy in the background screaming, just get a hanger, and you were screaming, no! Then one of them comes to tell me that the teacher had to start a brand new class because I wouldn't mute myself. So then I emailed my teacher and I told her that I was going through a really hard time and I really do apologize. And then she explained to me that everything was fine, like she understands things happen. So we were all good until like 3 days later. And my mom calls me telling me that somebody in my class had told her that I am pregnant. And I tried telling her like, no, like that is not true whatsoever. And then she sends me a recording that somebody else sent her of me in my room bawling my eyes out screaming, I'm pregnant, I don't know what to do. So somebody in my class was a big old snitch and sent a recording of me screaming I'm pregnant to my mom. And my mom is trying to force me to get an abortion, but I don't want to. To sum it up, I'm moving in with my grandma because she's super supportive. And in 3 months, I'll be having a baby boy.
Story time about my boyfriend's crazy ex-girlfriend and how she tried to kill me. So I've had problems with my boyfriend's ex-girlfriend multiple times before. First met her when she DM'd me going off on me because I was dating her ex. Well, she apologized and we became really good friends. We actually got really close. We got so close to the point where she actually moved in with me. I even introduced her to my other friends and we all became really close. One day my dad comes over to my apartment and after he left, she was being really weird. She wouldn't talk to me, she was ignoring me, she was being really short with me. Over the next week or so, I noticed my other friends becoming really distant. Well, one of my friends decided to finally talk to me. She told me that my boyfriend's ex-girlfriend told all of them that when my dad came over, he had grabbed her butt and she told me about it. I didn't do anything, which was a fat lie. That's not even the half of it. She lied to everyone about having cancer so she could get money. She tried to start a fight with me because she claimed I stole her stuff. She blocked me after that. Well, one day one of my really close friends that she was also friends with sent me a post she made on her Instagram. She posted a dead dog and captioned it, my heart is torn, I accidentally ran over my dog. It was my dog. Part 2 about my boyfriend's crazy ex-girlfriend and how she tried to kill me. So like I said, my boyfriend's crazy ex-girlfriend posted a dead dog on her Instagram, captioned it saying she was so sad she accidentally ran over her dog. Well, it was my dog. At this time, I'm not home, so I immediately go home. Like I said, she lived with me and I could tell that that picture was taken in the front of my apartment. But when I pull up, I see her looking out our window. When she sees me, she runs away from the window. I'm livid at this point. This my dog. So I run to get into my apartment and she meets me at the door. She tells me that there's a fire in our apartment to leave all my belongings outside. So I drop my phone, purse, keys, and we run up to the apartment. She shows me the fire, says she's gonna go get help, and runs out of the apartment and closes the door behind her. Get a bucket and fill it up with water and put some of the fire out. While I think my boyfriend's ex is going to go get help. Well, the fire started growing faster and I needed to ditch and get out of the apartment. When I tried to get out, I noticed that the lock on the door was changed. The part where you put in your key to get into your apartment was on the inside facing me. I didn't have my keys because she told me to leave them outside. Part 3 of my boyfriend's crazy ex-girlfriend and how she tried to kill me. My boyfriend's crazy ex-girlfriend locks me inside my apartment while there's a fire and I couldn't get out because she changed the lock on the door. So I knew my only choice was to put out the fire unless I wanted to jump out the window. Well, the smoke is getting really thick at this point. The fire had not gotten out of hand yet, so there was still a chance that I could put it out and save my stuff and my life. I know I should have jumped out the window, but I wanted to save my stuff too. So I open up my window and start filling up that same bucket of water over and over again. And I keep pouring it on the fire, damn near about to pass out because of the smoke. The fire eventually does go out. And then I jump out the window because that's the only way for me to get out. But as I'm walking away from the apartment, my boyfriend's ex is standing there and she gives me this look. She was annoyed that I was alive. When the firefighters and the police arrive, the police start questioning everyone, and when they question me, I tell them that she tried to kill me and also put everybody else in the apartment's life in danger too. Well, after they took her down to the station to question her, she confessed to everything, including killing my dog. Now she's serving time in jail for attempted murder of me and my neighbors.
One day, my cousin made a Tinder, and we were having a family barbecue, so he came over. He was like, oh my god, Sam, like this really hot girl just like matched with me. And then he shows me. And then I see the profile and it's literally pictures of Madison beer. But the name on the profile was like Kalani. I was like, bro, I don't know who you're texting, but it's not Madison beer. You're texting someone auntie right now, whole ass auntie. He's like, guess we're about to find out. I was like, no, what the no? He's like, yeah, I just gave her the Addy. She's about to pull up. Like, we're gonna meet. Like, it's all cool, Sam. Like, trust me. Trust me. Trust me, he said. I trusted him. So I see a car pull up, and he's like, oh my god, I think it's her. I was like, oh shit, what if I do meet Madison Beer? The door freaking opens, and this old lady pops up. I look at my cousin, and I'm like, go! Go hug her! Go, go, go! You were so excited. It's Kalani. The one and only. Come on.
Hello guys, please help me. I am under the water. I cannot breathe and it's too much hurting.
I guess we're about to find out.
Under the water? Hello guys, please help me. I am under the water. I cannot breathe and it's too much hurting. Oh my god guys, I am under the water. I cannot breathe and it's too much hurting. I am under the water. I cannot breathe and it's too much hurting. I am under the water. I cannot breathe and it's too much hurting. I am under the water. I cannot breathe and it's too much hurting. Hello, please help me. I am under the water. Please help me. I am under the water. ASMR. Please help me. I am under the water. Shh. This is ASMR. ASMR, mate. Shh. This is ASMR. ASMR, mate. Shh. This is ASMR.
Bridget, Brittany, Quirky, Emily, Tickly, Bigly, Pikely, Dingly, Earjily, Botch, Asshole in our class. Let's just call him Noodles. Noodles was being so inappropriate and he was moaning in class. He really thought he did some, but instead he just embarrassed his fucking dumb, awkward, bored, watch, bark, doggy, boggy, snotty, bitchy ass. Noodles started sticking a highlighter up his flat ass. Bitch, what? This is school, not the fucking hub. I was like, Noodle, are you okay? He kept sticking the highlighter up his ass until that fucking shit got stuck. Our lazy bazzy young crun tongue brawn drunk punk hoe ass. Substitute thought that shit was funny. I turned to my friend with a fucking horrified face. Bitch, I was scared for dear life. I was about to call my mom to tell her the fucking chaos occupying in our class. I wanted her to pick me up cause Noodle was acting up with his Humpty Dumpty looking ass, but he started moaning again like, bitch, at this point you can just go work for Pornhub. Okay, I gotta say that shit was funny and we all started laughing and the teacher said, whoever keeps laughing I'm giving you detention. Bitch, what? You fucking dumbass, you're the one who started it with your witch laugh, like pack it up you poised curse burst bitch. When I was 7 I came home one day and my mom told me I had pajama day tomorrow, but I was the oldest of my siblings and I found it kind of weird they have it in my school, but anyways I confirmed this with my friend. My mom told me to wear a unicorn jumper she bought for me, and when I got dressed the day of I decided not to wear anything under it. It was a bad habit I had as a kid. Anyways, I showed up to school in a unicorn jumper that was too big on me and nobody except for the pre-schoolers wore PJs. My bully was the first one I saw and she laughed under her breath and walked away. All of my classmates were confused and laughed quietly, but my bully just said, well, at least we know what you sleep in. In my head I was like, no bitch, I don't wear this. My teacher said I couldn't change my outfit, so I decided to do something. During recess I ran to the fence. I was planning on leaving the school. My bully came up to me and tried to pull my unicorn jumper and I bolted. I realized my jumper was slowing me down and making me trip, so I took it off behind a tree and ran as fast as I could, butt naked in the wind. I ran to the bathroom where I covered myself in toilet paper, still covered in TP. I went back to the playground and pulled my bully's pants down to her ankles. I laughed and left in my head I was a superhero. I went back to the fence, climbed over it and ran across the street. I was home free and nude, covered in now only a few pieces of toilet paper. Across the street I was home free and nude, covered in now only a few pieces of toilet paper. I was free until a school police pulled up next to me and dropped me off at the nurse's office. I never told my mom nor showed her the note home, and I threw away that horrible jumper. All my classmates called me Unicorn Warrior for the rest of the year, and lucky for me the only one who saw my bare ass was my bully, the cars on the street, and the police officer. I still hate myself for that to this day. Person face palming, frowning face rolling on the floor laughing. Not that long ago, me and my best friend, we will call her Emily, we were at a sleepover with 2 other friends, and then we were asking each other about our crushes, and it turns out that Emily had a crush on my older brother and she asked me if she could date him. I said no because it would be really weird, so we made a pact that we would never date each other's brothers. 1 week later I come from the dentist and I saw Emily and my brother making out. I was so mad at this sticky ugly looking bitch. I took her to my room and we started arguing. I said that I told not to date my brother, and she said I'm not dating him, I was kissing him. Then I got so mad at this bitch. The next day at school I acted like I fine with everything that happened the day before. I went up to Emily and apologized to her. I asked her if the 2 of us could do a sleepover, and she said yes. So the next weekend we were having a sleepover and Emily fell asleep in her room, so I decided to go to her brother's room. His brother was 3 years older than us, but he knew me very well and was always very sweet to me. I knocked on the door and he told me I could come in. So then I went and sat on his and started to kiss him. He pushed me away and asked me what TF I was doing. I told him I had had a crush on him for years now and the only thing I wanted to do was kiss him. Turns out he also had a crush on me. So then we started making out and decided to do the dirty. By the way, their parents weren't home, so I started to moan so loud that you could hear it in fucking Tokyo, bitch. Emily woke up and stormed into the room and yelled, what the fuck are you doing? But I just ignored the bitch and kept going. I told her to leave and close the door behind her. 15 minutes later I went back to Emily's room, and once I came in, this psycho bitch started to yell at me. She told me we had a pact, and then I told her that she broke the pact when she was making out with my brother. Then she told me she was just kissing him and not dating him. So then I told her I was just fucking her brother and not dating him. Then she got really mad and started screaming again. Then she told me that she thought I forgave her for kissing my brother. I said no, I would ever forgive you. So then both of us went to sleep, and then in the middle of the night I snuck into her brother's room again. For some reason this bitch thought that we made up. So in the morning when she woke up she started looking for me and yelling my name. She went to her brother's room to ask him if he knew where she was, and then she saw me laying in her brother's bed. For some reason she didn't think much of it. She asked me where her brother was. I told her he was in the shower and he asked me to join him, but I said no. This bitch got so mad at me again and started yelling at me again. Then 2 weeks later we made up, and now we are both dating each other's brother.
I have a really old-ass cat, and one day I was in a Zoom call with my camera and microphone off and I was hugging my old-ass cat because I was tired, and my teacher asked us to turn our cameras on. But he never said we had to show our face, so I was like smiling face with horns, while my camera faced the ceiling fan, and I continued to play with my cat, but this raggedy old idiot wanted to eat, like the fat ass that he is. So the fat bitch used all of his strength to get out of my arms, and he got out of my arms and was already out the door like,
"Get that bread, get that head, then leave. Peace out."
out the door, and the raggedy ass old ass fat bitch walked over my iPad. So the whole class saw my cat, they saw my fat old cat, wobble himself, to go eat, and everybody was like, OMG, it's a cat, like no bitch, it's Scooby-Doo the dog. And then my fat ass cat. So in October I am going to my cousin's wedding, and yesterday my mom said that something was going on and her fiance might have to stay at our house, and that's when I finally listened to the conversation. And my mom had the audacity to say that they could sleep in my room while I sleep on the couch. Like bitch, what the fuck? Her fiance name is Brian. There is no motherfucking way that I am going to hear Brian get wop in my room. I would have to cry myself to sleep and then call someone to deep clean my room the next day. And if that bitch ends up pregnant, then I will be talking to the baby like, I know when you were created, and then suffer from PTSD because of my cousin, grinning face with white eye.
I'm not sure if this is trigger warning, but here we go. When I was 9, turning 10, remember that, I was in my basement looking through random crap when I came across pictures of children I didn't know. I asked my mom and she grinned really scary looking. I immediately didn't feel right about this situation, so I called 911. They did an investigation and turns out my parents were in a gang who kidnapped children at birth, raised them till their 10th birthday, then killed them brutally. There is so much more detail to it, but for legal reasons I probably shouldn't say. In like 5th grade I stayed in class for lunch because I'm a boring bitch and didn't know what else to do. Anyways, I wanted to do a puzzle. I was on the other side of the class, so I went up to get it and I tripped and fell and my finger hit a desk really hard and bent it back way too far. It became sideways and blue. I went up to the teacher and told her what had happened and I asked her if I could go to the nurse. And she was like, no. I'm sorry, what? Bitch, the fuck you mean no? I just broke my damn finger on a desk and you're telling me no? Nah bitch, today ain't the day to be saying no to me. Oh hell nah. But anyway, I sat down and gave her faces. But class went on and I couldn't write, so my table mates had to help me write, but my teacher accused them of cheating because they had to write for me. Like bitch, you told me that I couldn't go to the nurse for my broken finger. Anyway, I just didn't write at all the whole class and got all F's. Then I went home to tell my mom and she took me to the doctor. Turns out it was fractured in 2 places. And then I came to school with my cast and I told on the teacher and she got fired. The bitch got what she deserved, smirking face, grinning face with clenched teeth. In the 4th grade I was playing with this kid at recess and he liked me a lot and so he wanted to play the kissing game and I said yes. He kissed me and a teacher saw, so we went to the principal's office and he told the principal that he was gay. I didn't know what that meant, so I said that I was gay too. The principal was so confused and I looked at him like, bruh, what the hell does that mean? He kissed the principal deadass and he got expelled. When I was in kindergarten at nap time I sat by this bitch named Haley and this boy named Lane. That bitch named Haley literally had the audacity to turn around and ask me do YOUW and me to poo LL my P and T's do WN. I was like, bitch the fuck, loudly crying face. I just ignored her. Then I look around like 5 minutes later and I see a booty up in my face. I was about to yell at her ass, but no, I got up and she had Lane's pants pulled down too. Lane was asleep. Then the teacher came and yelled at her. The end. I was in 7th grade. There was this racist ass bitch in my class. She was so racist it got to the point where even the teacher was finna beat the shit out of her. Then one day in class, she decided to come towards my lunch table and try being racist and ignorant. But let me tell you, everyone at my lunch table knew how to fight, including me. So she wants to try some shit and tries so hard to get us mad. We all were calm, but we really wanted to beat the shit out of her. Then she tried calling all of us a monkey. Bitch, your edges were snatched. Trying to call all of us a monkey, but yet, you look like a white monkey. Because bitch, you have no fucking lips. Get the fuck out of here. So I said that to her and she took my drink and splashed it in my face. If this bitch thought I was finna take that, her ass is sadly mistaken. I got up and punched the shit out of her bitch ass. I punched her so hard that her face turned mad red. She started crying. Bitch, I'm sorry you're over here being ignorant as fuck and you're crying. Yeah, no. I got sent to the office, and I got expelled. Last time I heard of her is she got jumped and moved far away from our city. I guess karma's a bitch, huh? With her racist ass, no edges ass, dumb ass, ignorant ass, oompa loompa head ass. Bye bitch. Last summer me and my family were on a cruise. My parents were really excited because it was supposed to be a great family vacation. No. On the 3rd day we were eating dinner on the ship's restaurant. I ordered an oh so juicy burger. I gobbled that shit down and thought nothing of it until my stomach started hurting. I told my mom and she said to ignore it. Then later that night while we were sitting on main deck it happened. I let out the most smelly, wet, huge, force of a rocket, jaw-dropping, louder than a bomb, makes you throw up, gives you coronavirus, ship-sinking fart in the history of the universe. People were screaming and running for dear life. My fart would not stop blasting. I was grasping onto the railings of the deck because I was so scared that my fart would blast me into space. The force of my fart killed everyone nearby. Little pellets of shit from my ass were flying all over the place. People were were calling their loved ones and saying their last goodbyes. Almost all of the people on the ship had either gone unconscious due to the smell of my fart or they got blasted off the cruise by my pellets of shit. It was so chaotic. The ship started sinking and the captain had to call emergency helicopters. The helicopters were able to rescue me, but everyone else on the ship died. Meanwhile, I was still erupting out of my ass like a volcano. I crashed the helicopter and a rescue boat had to come get me. We made it to land safely. Cross-eyed grinning face with stuck-out tongue.
In 7th grade, I used to not wear pads or tampons because they were uncomfortable. So I would just ruin my underwear and throw them away. One day in class I was sitting on a table and I was on my period. I stood up and there was a giant puddle of smeared coochie. Blood all over my ass and the table. This kid named Blake saw and thought it was paint. So he dipped his thumb in it and smeared it on his forehead while singing that Lion King song. He never found out.
I have a story. One day in 5th grade we were on a field trip. On the bus I was sitting next to this weird girl named Patty McBerry. For some fucking reason Patty was so excited about the trip. We were going to a fucking museum. What the actual fuck, who likes museums? They are so fucking boring. Anyways, halfway through the trip Patty McBerry started coughing viciously. She had a seizure due to overexcitement. She was shaking from happiness for the rest of the ride. When we got there Patty McBerry ran out of that bus faster than coronavirus spreads. She fainted because she was so excited. The tour guide had to hold on to Patty while he showed us around because she was too hyper. Out of nowhere, Patty McBerry broke free and ran right to the live animal section. She went to the gorilla's enclosure and smushed her face against the cage wall. Then out of nowhere she starts climbing up the fucking wall. Patty McBerry jumped into the enclosure and tackled the gorilla out of excitement. The gorilla ate Patty and she died. Okay, so once I was in school I was that bad bitch smirking face, relieved face, cross-eyed grinning face with stuck-out tongue. So I had a boyfriend, so I was going into class, the teachers weren't there and the teacher got in really late, so anyway so I go with my girl bestie. When we see this bitch talking to my mans I go up to her desk and my bestie was already looking like oh hell no with a disgusted face. I go up to him and was like, who is that hoe? Let's call her that ugly bitch. But anyway, and she is like, hey, and rolling her eyes. I got angry at this ugly bitch, so I told my bestie come here and she came and everybody was staring at us like eye, mouth, eye. So this ugly bitch gets up and starts talking shit. Me and my bestie couldn't understand what this girl even had said. It looked like she speak Japanese and 100 different languages at a time. My boyfriend was over there sitting nervous cause he knew I would drag a girl in class with my bestie with me. So then she said I'm talking to him because I want to. We could understand what she said now. But no, I was even more angry and pushed that little ugly bitch and dragged her, punched her 3 times until she got a black eye in both of them ugly ass eyes. I made her nose bleed and afterwards the bitch was crying. I was like, don't mess with my mans. Afterwards she went to the nurse office and had to go home. I still don't regret what I did to that musty crusty dusty asshole with them nippy ass poetic justice braids looking like you got yo clothes from Walmart.
There was this horse-looking mean popular girl that was popular for being bald and wearing weave. She really thought she was that girl from the movie Clueless or something. Every time someone would walk by her she freaking looked straight at them. They wouldn't even touch her and she would stop whatever she was doing and go out of her way and push them and say,
Ugh, as if.
Like you're not a movie star, you bald-headed vibe nationwide snot on your side, always wearing stiff weave looking like a guy named Steve, always having your axe smelling like pee, musty crusty female Mr. Clean. So one day I was walking down the hall and Brittany was behind me. She ran up to me and pushed me and said,
Ugh, as if.
And pushed me in the locker. But no, I wasn't one of those scary people. I got revenge. I ran up to her and pulled her weave right out of her head, but no, Brittany didn't learn her lesson. So when we were in the cafeteria she pushed me right into the tables. Then later on she put lemonade on my new jeans and really said, look everyone, it's piss possible. She thought we were done, but I was getting the last laugh. Me and Brittany used to be best friends, so I knew all her secrets and where she lived. At the assembly I ran to the center of the gym and told everybody that she stuffed her bra and that her drawers were always dirty and that her house smells like this. I showed everybody her house and this one boy said I can smell her piss.
When I was 8 years old, my parents separated and I was staying with my aunt for the summer. One day my dad picked me up and told me he was taking me home because they made up. He told me that we were going to move to a house next to my aunt. Anyways, on the ride I begged him to drive me to the mall to buy a video game and he agreed. On the way he said he wasn't feeling very good and then a car came out of nowhere and crashed into us. To make a long story short, my dad literally died in the front seat and I only had a few cuts. My mother stopped the move and was obviously devastated and cried every night for 6 months. The only reason she stopped is because she died too. One day me and my classmates were on a Zoom call with our teacher for science. We kept writing WAP in the chat and our teacher had enough and said, what is WAP? Why does everyone keep saying it? This guy in our class said it stands for work and paper. The guy said we were doing our WAP right now and our teacher said great. Our teacher then said, Jennifer, show me your WAP right now. We all started laughing and our teacher was confused. He kept saying, why won't you show me your WAP? We were all dying from laughter and our teacher got upset and left the Zoom call. We all sat there kinda speechless and we all just sorta left one by one after. And When I was like 9 I had this bitch of a teacher that everyone hated. One day in class she was putting posters up on the wall and she had to stand on a table because she was like 4 feet tall, but anyway she asked for someone to hold the table so that she wouldn't fall, so I volunteered to hold the table. So the bitch went up onto that table and 9-year-old me decided to get revenge on that bitch, so I decided to yank the table thinking that she would just wobble a bit, but the teacher deadass fell off the table and went flying. She landed on her back and hit her head and I'm pretty sure she broke one of her cheap ass heels. So long story short, she ended up with a concussion and they called an ambulance to take that bitch away. None of my classmates told the principal on me because we all hated that bitch, so we all agreed to say that she fell off the table herself while we sang Ding Dong the Witch is Dead, but in fact she was not dead because she came back into class the next day and glared at me, but I never got in trouble for it and to this day I still don't feel bad lol. So in 6th grade I rode the bus to school and the bus driver was a major pedo. Anyways, the bus driver would always greet us at the door and touch the 6-year-olds' asses. It was a bit sus because if they tried to avoid his hand he would slap them on the butt and tell them to get off. As I was one of the older kids I hid them behind me as we walked past him. They would show me the red marks on their butt and that shit looked like it hurt. So as we stopped at school I helped the kids get off the bus and I got self-defense classes so I started slapping the living shit out of the bus driver. I literally fucking left blue marks on his head by dragging him around and slamming his head on the railings. He got fired and 10 years of jail for sexual assault. I've never got so many hugs from parents because they didn't believe the children, so for me to save them from this experience was super helpful towards them. The school also gave everyone who rode the bus a fair bit of money to apologize for this situation. And decided to yank the table thinking that she would just wobble a bit, but the teacher deadass fell off the table and went flying. She landed on her back and hit her head and I'm pretty sure she broke one of her cheap ass heels. So long story short, she ended up with a concussion and they called an ambulance to take that bitch away. None of my classmates told the principal on me because we all hated that bitch, so we all agreed to say that she fell off the table herself while we sang Ding Dong the Witch is Dead, but in fact she was not dead because she came back into class the next day and glared at me, but I never got in trouble for it and to this day I still don't feel bad, lol. So in 6th grade I rode the bus to school and the bus driver was a major pedo. Anyways, the bus driver would always greet us at the door and touch the 6-year-olds' asses. It was a bit sus because if they tried to avoid his hand he would slap them on the butt and tell them to get off. As I was one of the older kids I hid them behind me as we walked past him. They would show me the red marks on their butt and that shit looked like it hurt. So as we stopped at school I helped the kids get off the bus and I got self-defense classes so I started slapping the living shit out of the bus driver. I literally fucking left blue marks on his head by dragging him around and slamming his head on the railings. He got fired and 10 years of jail for sexual assault. I've never got so many hugs from parents because they didn't believe the children, so for me to save them from this experience was super helpful towards them. The school also gave everyone who rode the bus a fair bit of money to apologize for this situation. And so one day I went for a walk because I had to exercise anyways. I started getting really suspicious vibes with this man that was constantly staring at me. He was bald and had earrings and tattoos everywhere. I started walking faster but not trying to make it obvious, so then that fat baboon looking like Walmart Dwayne Johnson ass bitch started chasing me. Bitch, when I tell you I turned into a fucking cheetah and started running 100 kilometers per hour. I literally said zoom. I ran down the road when this man saved my life. The man I got creepy vibes with had grabbed me until this other dude started punching him and told me to run. Fast forward, we went into lockdown a few weeks later and police surrounded our school. The same guy broke into our school and the police searched for about 3 hours. As they got him I looked out the window and that same man made eye contact with me as he got arrested. That night my mom called me downstairs because apparently I was on the news. The man turns out to be a sex trafficker and I was the first victim. And also yesterday I woke up with the worst back pain ever, like I could literally not breathe. I thought I was going to die and so I wrote letters to my family saying what theme I wanted my funeral and shit, like who is the new owner of my credit card, like bitch I literally had $1 thinking I'm Bill Gates, bitch. Super helpful towards them. The school also gave everyone who rode the bus a fair bit of money to apologize for this situation. And so one day I went for a walk because I had to exercise anyways. I started getting really suspicious vibes with this man that was constantly staring at me. He was bald and had earrings and tattoos everywhere. I started walking faster but not trying to make it obvious, so then that fat baboon looking like Walmart Dwayne Johnson ass bitch started chasing me. Bitch, when I tell you I turned into a fucking cheetah and started running 100 kilometers per hour. I literally said zoom. I ran down the road when this man saved my life. The man I got creepy vibes with had grabbed me until this other dude started punching him and told me to run. Fast forward, we went into lockdown a few weeks later and police surrounded our school. The same guy broke into our school and the police searched for about 3 hours. As they got him I looked out the window and that same man made eye contact with me as he got arrested. That night my mom called me downstairs because apparently I was on the news. The man turns out to be a sex trafficker and I was the first victim. And also yesterday I woke up with the worst back pain ever, like I could literally not breathe. I thought I was going to die and so I wrote letters to my family saying what theme I wanted my funeral and shit, like who is the new owner of my credit card, like bitch I literally had $1 thinking I'm Bill Gates, bitch no. So after that I walked up to my dad and told him I need to go to the hospital because I broke my back. He really said if you broke your back you wouldn't be walking. Bitch, what? Breaking my back or hurting my back is basically the same thing, now hurry up before I die. He really be thinking he's a doctor and gave me a tablet, like what the fuck is that supposed to do? He told me it will take the pain away. Huh? No it won't, dumbass. The next day everything was fine. So when I was younger I would always watch Aladdin and my mom would read me Aladdin as bedtime stories. Bitch, I wanted them wishes so I went around my house and started rubbing everything since I thought a genie would come out. My mom made me and my sister take baths together so I thought it was meant to be. As she was climbing out I started rubbing her coochie thinking there would come a genie out, but there didn't. So I continued rubbing her stinky binky wrinkly coochie and she started moaning. I thought that was the sound that the genie would make when he comes out, but there still didn't come one out, so I thought it was stuck and slapped her and started reaching down her mouth till she threw me across the room. Bitch, what? I was about to make us rich, you dumbass. I broke my arm. Long story short, my sister pays me to rub her coochie since she is single as fuck. Anonymous. Hi, this is my story. When I was in 6th grade I had a best friend that whenever she would come to my house she would ask to borrow my clothes and never give them back, and one day she wanted to have a sleepover with me, so I asked my mom and she said yes, and a few days later I remembered that she had my shorts, so I asked her to bring them to me and she said okay anyways. When we were having
music every day like that. She be too thick and my friends are all annoying, but we go dumb, yeah, we go stupid. This the college dropout music every day like that. She be too thick and my friends are all annoying, but we go dumb, yeah, we go stupid, we go stupid, we go stupid, we go.
And you want me to change? Fuck you!
Fuck you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. I'm through. It's that hot girl by my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. Fuck you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. Fuck you and you. It's that hot girl by my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. Fuck you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. I'm through. This that hot girl by my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. This that hot girl by my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. This that throw up in your Birkin bag. Hook up with someone random. This that social awkward suicide. That by your lips and by your likes. I swear she had a man, but shit hit different when it's Thursday night. That college dropout music every day like that. She be too thick and my friends are all annoying, but we go dumb, yeah, we go stupid. This the 10K on the table just so we can be secluded. And the vodka came diluted. One more line, I'm superhuman. Fuck you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. I'm through. This that hot girl by my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. Fuck you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. Fuck you and you. This that hot girl by my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. This that hot girl by my two-step. They can't box me in, I'm too left. This that drip is more like oceans. They can't fit me in a Trojan. Out of pocket, but I'm always in my bag. Yeah, that's the slogan. This that who's all there. I'm pulling up with an emo chick that's broken. This that college dropout music every day like that. She be too thick and my friends are all annoying, but we go dumb, yeah, we go stupid. This the 10K on the table just so we can be secluded. And the vodka came diluted. One more line, I'm superhuman. Fuck you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. I'm through. This that hot girl by my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. Fuck you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. Fuck you and you. This that hot girl by my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. This the college dropout music every day like that. She be too thick and my friends are all annoying, but we go dumb, yeah, we go stupid. This the college dropout music every day like that. She be too thick and my friends are all annoying, but we go dumb, yeah, we go stupid, we go stupid, we go stupid, we go.
And you want me to change? Fuck you!
Fuck you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. I'm through. This that hot girl by my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. Fuck you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. Fuck you and you. This that hot girl by my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. Fuck you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. I'm through. This that hot hot girl bummer anthem. Turn it up and throw a tantrum. This that hot girl bummer anthem.
Yes, I do want to die. No, I just can't want to die.
Hook up with someone random. This that social awkward suicide that by your lips and by your likes. I swear she had a man, but shit hit different when it's Thursday night. That college dropout music every day like that. She be too thick and my friends are all annoying, but we go dumb, yeah, we go stupid. This the 10K on the table just so we can be secluded. And the vodka came diluted. One more line, I'm superhuman. Fuck you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. I'm through. This that hot girl bummer anthem. Turn it up and throw it.
Yes, you epic hacker.
This that hot girl bummer two-step. They can't box me in, I'm too left. This that drip is more like oceans. They can't fit me in a Trojan. Out of pocket, but I'm always in my bag. Yeah, that's the slogan. This that who's all there. I'm pulling up with an emo chick that's broken. This that college dropout music. Every day like that, she be too thick. And my friends are all annoying, but we go dumb. Yeah,
oh my god, I do not actually want to die. It's completely fine.
And the vodka came diluted. One more line, I'm superhuman. Fuck you and you.
Oh yeah, you're part of the CIA, I'm part of the CIA.
And they hate me too. I'm through. This that hot girl bummer anthem. Turn it up and throw a tantrum. Fuck you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. Fuck you and you. This that hot girl bummer anthem. Turn it up and throw a tantrum. This the college dropout music. Every day like that, she be too thick. And my friends are all annoying, but we go dumb, yeah, we go stupid. This the college dropout music. Every day like that, she be too thick. And my friends are all annoying, but we go dumb, yeah, we go stupid. We go stupid, we go stupid, we go.
And you want me to change? Fuck you!
Fuck you.
I never use capital letters unless I'm screaming at people who left cup.
Fuck you and you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. I'm through. This that hot girl bummer anthem. Turn it up and throw a tantrum. This that hot girl bummer anthem. Turn it up and throw a tantrum. This that throw up in your Birkin bag. Hook up with someone random. This that social awkward suicide that by your lips and by your likes. I swear she had a man, but shit hit different when it's Thursday night. That college dropout music. Every day like that, she be too thick. And my friends are all annoying, but we go dumb, yeah, we go stupid. This the 10K on the table just so we can be secluded. And the vodka came diluted. One more line, I'm superhuman. Fuck you and you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. I'm through. This that hot girl bummer anthem. Turn it up and throw a tantrum. Fuck you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. Fuck you and you. This that hot girl bummer anthem. Turn it up and throw a tantrum. This that hot girl bummer two-step. They can't box me in, I'm too left. This that drip is more like oceans. They can't fit me in a Trojan. Out of pocket, but I'm always in my bag. yeah, that's the slogan. This that who's all there. I'm pulling up with an emo chick that's broken. This that college dropout music. This that college dropout music. I still try. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. No, I still try. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. No, I still try. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. No, I still try. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. Don't trust nobody, not even her. She never see me like see her. She never love me like love her. I just hold myself, so look in my heart. She doesn't even give a fuck, I'm a prisoner. She doesn't even give a fuck, I'ma live or die. She doesn't make me in her life. She doesn't make me live in life. I just give a shit, I just be with dress. I just run inside, I just do inside. You didn't understand, I see you now. You didn't understand, fuck you, bro. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Don't wanna sweet talk. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. Don't wanna sleep tight. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. Don't wanna sleep tight. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. Don't wanna sleep tight. She wonders why. No, I still try. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. No, I still try. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. No, I still try. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. No, I sweet talk. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. No, I sweet talk. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. Don't trust nobody, not even her. She never see me like see her. She never love me like love her. I just hold myself, so look in my heart. She doesn't even give a fuck, I'm a prisoner. She doesn't even give a fuck, I'ma live or die. She doesn't make me in her life. She doesn't make me live in life. I just give a shit, I just be with dress. I just run inside, I just do inside. You didn't understand, I see you now. You didn't understand, fuck you, bro. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. Don't wanna sleep tight. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. Don't wanna sleep tight. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. No, I still try. She wonders why. No, I still try. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. No, I still try. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. No, I still try. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. No, I sweet talk. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even her. No, I sweet talk. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Not even
trust nobody, not even her. She never see me like see her. She never love me like love her. I just love myself, so look in my heart. She doesn't even give a fuck, I'm a prisoner. She doesn't even give a fuck, I'ma live or die. She doesn't make me in her life. She doesn't make me live a life. I just do shit, I just build dress. I just bring myself, I just do it side. You didn't understand, I see you now. You didn't understand, fuck you bro. She wonders why I don't trust nobody, not even her. She wonders why I don't trust nobody, not even her. Don't wanna sleep tight. She wonders why I don't trust nobody, not even her. Don't wanna sleep tight. She wonders why I don't trust nobody, not even her. No, I still try. She wonders why. No, I still try. She wonders why I don't trust nobody, not even her. No, I still try. She wonders why I don't trust nobody, not even her. No, I still try. She wonders why I don't trust nobody, not even her. Don't wanna sleep tight. She wonders why I don't trust nobody, not even her. Don't wanna sleep tight. She wonders why I don't trust nobody, not even her. Don't trust nobody, not even her. She never see me like see her. She never love me like love her. I just love myself, so look in my heart. She doesn't even give a fuck, I'm a prisoner. She doesn't even give a fuck, I'ma live or die. She doesn't make me in her life. She doesn't make me live a life. I just do shit, I just build dress. I just bring myself, I just do it side. You didn't understand, I see you now. You didn't understand, fuck you bro. She wonders why I don't trust nobody, not even her. She wonders why I don't trust nobody, not even her. Don't wanna sleep tight. She wonders why I don't trust nobody, not even her. Don't wanna sleep tight. She wonders why I don't trust nobody. Check 1, 2. Call me Matatabi, I feel like a Biju. Biju Dama and your voice, what you gonna do? I'm the strongest one, can't stop me saying you, saying Biju. Biju Dama and your
When I was little, I found my mom's credit card, and being a 6-year-old, I saw my mom putting the credit card on her phone, and I knew how she did it. So, I decided that I was going to put
on my phone. So I put it on my phone and I was downloading Roblox because I thought, hey, I can play with my friends here. That day, I spent $2,000 worth of freaking money on Robux. Let's just say a lot of my friends thought I was really cool and rich. When my mom found out, I hid from her for seriously like a day, and then once I got in there, she wasn't mad. She just said I was Captain Robux.
A story time that happened in 2nd grade. So my teacher never allowed fidget spinners, and my friend always brought one to school because that was the only thing that helped us focus. But every time she saw it, she would take it, and she would never return it even though she said she was. So me and my friend, I'm gonna call her Jalen, and my other friend, I'm gonna name her Caitlin. So me, Jalen, and Caitlin all had this plan to sneak into school and take our fidget spinners. So at recess, we had this plan spot behind the tree, and we would all talk about it. This girl even didn't eat her lunch because her teacher took away her fidget spinner. Anyway, we all had this plan to sneak into school and break the windows, go in class and steal all our fidget spinners and give them back to the owners. But every time we talk about it, we'd get caught by this one kid named Nathan, and he would all go tell the teacher. But the teacher didn't care, obviously, because she knew we weren't going to do it. Like for part 2. Okay, part 2 of the fidget spinners. Okay, so as you know, Nathan was going to tell on us, and the teacher obviously didn't believe us because we were little kids and he knew we wouldn't do that. So we all had a plan that the next day we would all meet up at the playground in the school at 6 p.m. So that day, no one showed up. I didn't even show up. And the next day at school, we all got mad at each other for not showing up when we all said we showed up, but you guys didn't. And I didn't show up. My friend didn't show up. None of us showed up. But we just lied about showing up. So we just gave up and we just never did it again because we knew we would never get our fidget spinners. Tell me if you want more.
Story time. So this was 2 years ago and I was at school and it was a normal day until the principal went on the speaker and said, "We're in lockdown, go in your closets." So we went ahead and went in the closets. We were all confused. Some people were scared. Everyone was like kind of asking the teacher what was going on and stuff. Now during this time, I wasn't asking anything or saying anything because I knew during a lockdown you don't want to say anything. So if there is someone in the school, they won't find where you are. But I was still listening to them because I was curious like everyone else. So while everyone was asking the questions, one girl stood up and said, "If you're not going to say what's going on, I'm going to get out of the closet." The teacher yelled at her and told her no. And the teacher yelled loud, so whoever was in the school obviously heard. So the door opened and everyone became silent. And so basically for part 2. So this was welcome to part 2. Okay, so the guy that came into our school was a prisoner that escaped prison. So he was like, "Where are you?" And he stood in there for at least 10 minutes. Then we thought he left, but he was completely silent, and the teacher gave us a look saying, "Do not talk and do not move." So we all listened to the way he looked, and my best friend, the girl that stood up saying she would leave, got up and left. She thought that the guy was gone and she was going to get a counselor. So as soon as she got out of the room, we heard gunshots. As soon as the gunshots said that, I knew immediately what happened. I started crying and I thought that she was dead. The guy didn't even try to come in the room that we were in, even though he knew where we were. He immediately left knowing that he should have not shot the girl. Wait for part 3. Welcome to part 3. So as soon as the guy left, we got out of the closet and started panicking. We didn't Didn't know what to do since she was shot in the head and we knew that she wouldn't make it. So we were all freaking out and so was I, and I was crying and I just couldn't breathe right and I didn't know what to do. The speaker went off saying that the police and the ambulance were coming since the principal heard a gunshot too. So when the police came, they found the guy who was hiding in a locker and he got contained and taken to the police office. The ambulance were here and went in the room and took her. They said with their face, saying she would not make it. That was the worst day of my life. So the ambulance took her, and about 2 days later, we weren't allowed to go to the school since the guy was still on the loose. He escaped. So we all had to stay at our homes, and I visited my friend, and I didn't know she died.
So I was sitting in the cafeteria when these two girls walk up to me. They kept complimenting me, and I was so confused because these were the most popular girls in the school. So after they kept saying how pretty I finally asked them what they wanted, and one of the girls named Gabby told me I'm invited to her birthday party that was later that day. I was so happy, so I kindly accepted. Later that day, the girl who invited me sent me her address, so when it was time I got my mom to drop me off there. I walked up to the door and knocked a couple times and nobody answered, so I waited for almost an hour and realized no one lived there. I was so angry now because it started raining outside and I had no way to get home because my mom was on a dinner date and I had told her to come get me at 8 p.m. and then it was 4 p.m. So I started to walk home and the whole way I was crying. So the next day in the cafeteria, Gabby and 3 other girls walked up to me laughing, and Gabby asked me where I was, because I quote-unquote missed the party, and I told her that I was sent the wrong address, I think. Then she said, oops lol, sorry, guess I sent you the wrong address, but look on the outside, at least we didn't have someone ugly to drive all the boys away at my party. So I rolled my eyes at her, because I wasn't trying to cause a problem, when I guess one of Gabby's friends handed her a milk carton, and she poured it on me. And that's when I bolted up, grabbed her by the hair, and started rocking her shit.
One day I was playing Roblox. A few minutes later I met this guy and adopted me. We became friends. Then a little later we started dating. I gave him my number and we started texting. He wanted to FaceTime, but I had to go to my grandma's house, so I told him I would FaceTime later. Either way, I was a little nervous to FaceTime. Okay, anyway, I got to my grandma's house and I decided to bring my laptop because I still wanted to play Adopt Me with my boyfriend. I noticed that my grandma was on her phone the whole time. She literally never goes on her phone. Like when I went to say hi to her, she literally slapped me and told me to go away. Like, bitch, chill out, what did I do? Anyway, I went to join Adopt Me and I saw that my boyfriend was online. I joined and gave him a free giraffe. A second later, my grandma jumps 5 feet in the air and she screamed yippee yappy wappy hoo ha hey, and she fell on her back. That was the moment I realized I was dating my own grandma. She got rushed to the hospital. A day later my mom told me she died. We went to her funeral. It was going normal until all of a sudden I hear the Adopt Me music coming from her funeral casket.
This is why I never trust anybody off of Roblox. A few years ago on Roblox, when I started playing Roblox, I would join a bunch of games and friend everybody in the game. I would even join different servers to friend more people. But this one time, I joined a server and I was very interested in the game, so I didn't friend anybody in that one. But I got a friend request from a girl named Ladybug134. Her name sounded very cool at the time, in my opinion, and I accepted it. Then I left the game to start chatting with her. She started chatting with me about saying, can I make a group chat with you and my friend on Roblox? I said, sure, why not? Because I meant more friends. Then in the group chat, I was saying hi, hello, and stuff like that, and the weird little XDs emojis and stuff like that. I was getting kind of confused because nobody else was talking in the chat. You will not believe what they chatted. Like for part 2. Part 2, sorry for the long wait. When I opened up the group chat, I got really nervous because it said, I know where you are. I started getting scared because it was 2 people knowing where I live. So I unfriended both of them and blocked them. I joined the same game and got another friend request from somebody. This time, the name was LadyMan256 because in the beginning it was Ladybug. So, I don't know. I accepted it because at the time, like I said, I thought having a lot of friends was cool. They chatted me linking my email. I got really nervous. When I clicked the email, it had pictures of me. I kept on getting spam accounts from my phone messages, and it kept on saying, "Why did you do that? Why did you do that?" And I'm guessing it's because I blocked them. Like for part 3. Part 3 up right now. By the way, thank you for all the support. The next day, I got a call from an anonymous number. I was confused, but I still answered it. At the time, I was younger, so I didn't really notice. When I answered, it was like a robot keep on repeating, "Why did you do that? Why did you do that?" I got really scared and I hung up. I screenshotted the number just in case I would need it as evidence or proof, because at the time, I thought I was doing something very smart. I kept on getting the same calls that kept on saying, "Why did you do that? Why did you do that?" I know I did something really bad, to the point where I got so scared I had to tell my parents. I told my mom, and she didn't really believe me at first. And then I showed her the picture of the proof of the photo that had the number of the anonymous number. Then she called it. You will not believe what the anonymous number said to her. Like for part 4. Part 4. Thank you for waiting. When my mom got the number, it took a little bit for the number to answer. But then it finally answered. And the number said, "I know who you are. We've been together for a long time." I'm not sure if they meant together in a relationship or as friends. But I'm going to say as friends. I got very confused because I didn't know who it was, and I would have understood their voice if I knew them. But maybe they had some high-tech technology that changed their voice. But then the number hung up immediately and started texting my mom. It kept on saying, "I'm done with your daughter, but now I'm not done with you." I got really scared for my mom because I kind of got her into something. I didn't want to get her into anything because this would all be my fault. Like for part 5. And by the way, thank you for all the support. Part 5, the last part. After the anonymous number was texting my mom, "I'm done with your daughter, but I'm not done with you," she kept on getting fake emails from stores that she liked. For example, Walmart, Old Navy, or even Fashion Nova. She clicked on the Old Navy one. Then it said put in your email and your password, and she put it in because it said if you do it, you get a free discount. Then when it was done, there was a badge on the side that had a smiley face. Then her phone immediately turned off. When she got back in her phone, my friend was calling her. It was weird because my friend was calling her, not calling me. And she asked my mom if I can come over. Then my mom told me, and I obviously said yes because we were friends. When I went over her house, we wanted to play Roblox together. When she was on there, she joined my game, but not on her real account. She joined the game as Ladybug234. And that's why I don't trust anybody off of Roblox.
Hey guys, today I'm going to tell you how I scammed my rich friend and Adopt Me and how it went completely wrong. So from what I thought, she would scam people every single day for the pets that she had. And I only thought that because I saw her do it a couple times. And when I tell you this girl was rich, I mean she was rich. So one day I was at her house and we were just playing Adopt Me, and when she went to go up to the bathroom, I took her iPad and I traded myself and I traded all her pets to my account. And by the way, I had traded all the pets to an alt account so that she wouldn't see them in my inventory. So soon enough, she came back from the bathroom and she had a meltdown. And she knew that it wasn't me because she knows that I wouldn't do something like that, and she saw my inventory. So then she goes running to her dad sobbing, telling him about it. And remind you, they are a really wealthy family. And then I was confused because he started screaming at her over these virtual pets. And then he said this. Part 2. So yeah, here he is screaming at her. And then he says this. We're just going to call her Abby, but he says, "Abby, I've spent probably over $1,000 on this game in the past year for you." And I was all confused. I was like, wait a minute. This girl had her dad buy her pets? And she's just over there sobbing, and so he takes her iPad and throws it across the room. It didn't break, but this man's was furious. And I'm just standing in the corner of the room with my jaw literally on the ground. Cause he's over here flipping out on her and I had them in my inventory the whole time. And so of course I had to give them back to her, but oh my god, I was so scared and they were both mad at me. So then my parents got involved because apparently it was a too far gone prank. So that's when things started to get just way too dramatic. So we stopped talking for a while, but luckily we talk again.
My sister has Depop and sells stuff. One time she had to deal with this bubblegum dumb motherfucking bitch. This bitch complained her shoes were used, when the description of the shoes clearly stated they were, like, bitch, are you blind? Need glasses? So anyway, I look at that bitch's and oh my god. She was a whole pro-life turn-up 2020 0 IQ dumb bitch. That bitch's whole personality was orange turnip and being pro-life. I saw she had a brother and started ming him. I told that crusty flubby blubby roachy fish boy he was hot and I wanted to hook up. He agreed and I went to that Trump boy's house. His house was just Trump everywhere. I wanted to run away. But I hooked up with him and made sure he went hard and didn't use protection. He made me pregnant, so I get an abortion and mailed it to her. In 8th grade I really liked this boy. And one day during lunch my best friend came up to me and said the boy was going to ask me out to the school dance. So later that day he asked me and obviously the baddie I am said yes and we started dating after that. The next day at school we met in the girls' bathroom. My dumbass tiny fucking pea brain decided to fuck him. He stuck his biggest juicy dick in my mouth. That shit was so big I started choking. Suddenly this bitch started peeing and it went down my throat. That shit was nasty. It wasn't even clear. In my school teachers and students share the same bathroom and my fucking old wrinkly history teacher came in. We both got expelled. We still fuck a lot though. And his dick is getting bigger every time, but since I'm a Molly always adapt.
Time about something that happened to me in kindergarten. So we was at recess and I was playing with my friends and this girl named Haley was chasing me because I made fun of her nickname, which was Bling Bling the Wing Chaying. So when she was chasing me around and I climbed up this ladder and she climbed up right after me and I kicked her in the face and she fell to the floor with a bloody nose and the teacher called us over and talked to us and she had to sit on the side for recess and I didn't. So when I was in the bathroom she sent one of her friends to mess with me and she climbed on the stall and watched me poop. So I took my shit and threw it in her face and it got in her mouth and I didn't get in trouble and she smelled like shit. That's what her bubba wubba fun a hubba fubba jubba gubba cubba yubba nubba zumba rubba shitty litty witty kitty mitty nitty yitty jitty pitty quitty ritty titty city ass gets for trying to watch me poop. My brother was playing Minecraft. An hour later he told me that he got a Minecraft girlfriend. I was surprised because I got a Minecraft boyfriend that day too. I was happy for him. My brother kept chatting with his girlfriend and I kept chatting with my boyfriend. We were chatting with them for days and days. Me and my boyfriend would make out in Minecraft. Smirking face. A few days later my mom told my brother to stop playing Minecraft because he was failing every class, even English, literally the language he speaks. But I noticed that ever since my brother stopped playing my boyfriend stopped playing too. I thought it was a coincidence so I didn't think much of it. My boyfriend didn't play for over a month so I decided to just cheat on him. But then he joined me and he saw me cheat. We got in a huge fight and I blocked him. But then I heard my brother crying in his room saying he broke up with his Minecraft girlfriend. I told him I broke up with my Minecraft boyfriend too. That was the moment I realized I was dating my own brother. What the fuck? It made me and my brother so sick to the point where we got COVID. Anyway, me and my brother haven't talked ever since. Oh, and I didn't know my brother knew that much about WAP. In 5th grade I accidentally poisoned my teacher. It was April Fool's Day and my dumbass was like, oh okay, let me prank my teacher. So I went and bought a donut and covered it in baby powder so my teacher would think I was giving her a powder donut. I didn't realize the baby powder was literally 10 years old and would poison her. I thought it would just be a funny prank. So I went to school and gave my teacher the donut. As soon as she takes a bite out of it she starts coughing and choking and she starts turning purple. And everyone started looking at me like, this bitch did not just poison the fucking teacher. So after like 5 minutes of her struggling with the donut she finally swallowed it. Then I told her I had covered the donut with poisonous baby powder and she said she was going to hold me back but I wasn't going to be punished. To make a long story short, she called my parents, didn't let me be a helper for field day and told all the teachers and administrators, and they never looked at me the same. But I don't regret any of it and hey, at least I didn't kill her. Honestly Chile, I would do it again. Laughing and crying cat emoji red heart.
Story time. One time I was at a funeral and some dumb ass kid started crying during someone's speech and the bitch who was talking went silent while the kid screamed at its mom. The crusty ass bitch ass annoying ass kid was mad because I wouldn't let him on my phone during a funeral like with get out of here with her 2 feet tall ass, stinky ass breath ass picking your crusty ass boogers and eating them ass bitch ass. Anyways. The kid got so mad that he shat himself, and one kid my age looked at me, and then we both bursted out laughing and the annoying ass Karen giving the speech or whatever started yelling at us and like 15 people had to go outside because we were all laughing. I didn't even know the person who died. I was forced to go because my mom was invited, but I low-key felt bad, but it doesn't matter because the little shit got what it deserved and shit itself.
Unfortunately, this is a true story. In 3rd grade, I was in Spanish class and there was this dirty-minded girl. She would make dirty jokes, and one time we watched a documentary and there was a mom and a baby panda cuddling and she whispered to me, "Look, those bears are doing the nasty. So let's call her Jane. Let's go back to the Spanish class." I was put next.
Around 2 or 3 months ago, I made some TikToks saying if anyone wanted to be my IVF, and so I got one. And we're gonna call her Lila. So Lila was so nice. I told her everything. We were so close for like a month. It was all great. And then she stopped talking to me for a bit. So I texted her one day and I said, "Hey, why don't we talk a little more often? I feel like we were so close and we haven't been talking a lot." And so she said, "Yeah, okay." And so we had a whole conversation. We played Among Us a bit. That was fun. So then she started DMing me on TikTok, sending her videos and saying, "Could you maybe like and comment and share?" And so I didn't think anything of it at first. So I was like, "Yeah, of course." And I was liking and sharing her videos. She was DMing me on TikTok every day with multiple videos asking me to like and comment. They were her videos, by the way. She did this on her fan page account and her main account. But I didn't think anything of it. I just kept liking and sharing and liking and sharing, and her videos went viral. And then I started thinking, what if she's using me? Get this viral and come back for part 2. Have a great day, everybody. This is part 2 of The Imposter. I caught on that she was using me for clout, but I didn't figure this out until later on. I had already shared and liked most of her videos. It all changed one day when she sent me this one video. She said, "Could you maybe like?" I looked at the video and I read it. There was a picture of a memoji girl who looked exactly like me. And then I read the text that was on the video. It said, "This is my name. She is racist, toxic, homophobic, and bullies people, and uses people for clout." And I was like, what? And it said, "She will die when this video gets 50 likes. There were 48, and my friend had sent me this video asking me to like it. And I texted her and I said, "Hey, is there something I'm doing wrong?" No response. I did not like the video. I actually responded to her DM saying, "I'm good, thanks. I don't wish death upon people." I had also noticed that she deleted the matching bios we did and replaced it with a girl's name. We're gonna call this girl Rachel. And Layla said that Rachel was such a nice friend and she was so famous and so rich and adopt me. And Rachel followed me on TikTok, and so I followed her back, and she actually seemed really nice. And she said, "This is part 3 of The Imposter." Basically, this girl Rachel was saying, "Oh, Lila's such a good friend, she's so nice to me." And I instantly thought, oh my god, she's using her for clout too. And Lila had also mentioned to me, "Oh, my new friend, she's so rich and adopt me." I thought, is she gonna scam her? And so basically, she started making profile pictures for her TikTok account saying like, "This is me and this is Rachel." And it was like Addison Rae and Charlie D'Amelio together being best friends. Basically showing like, oh my god, she's my best friend, I love her so much. This is exactly what she had done to me and then just replaced me. Basically, I told Rachel what had happened to me with Lila, and she said, "Oh my god, it all makes sense now. She's doing the same thing to me." It turns out Lila was also sending videos to Rachel asking her to like and comment on them. And she was getting clout off of Rachel because Rachel had a lot of followers. Me and Rachel exchanged our numbers and we started to make a plan. We started making videos that were pointed towards Lila but undercover, using different names and people but using everything she did, and we sent them to her asking her to like and share them. And she fell for it. Come back for part 4. And thank you so much for all the love on part 1 and part 2. Last part of The Imposter. Sorry for using the same clip again, my iPad died and couldn't film a new one. Lila caught on to us sending her the videos because she had done the same thing to us and she knew exactly what we were doing. One day, she asked me to meet her friend Rachel, not knowing that we had already met and talked a lot. So we went into Adopt Me and we were going to play Adopt Me, and Lila asked to trust trade, and so of course we said sure. And then we both left the game and texted each other and said that we got disconnected. Obviously we didn't. And we made up another plan. We went first, and obviously she scanned us for our neon legendaries, but we made a plan and we got the pets back through an alt account. Anyway, that's past the subject. She learned her lesson and she unblocked us and said, hey, I'm sorry, I got scammed for the pets that I scammed you for. So do you think you could give me something? Obviously we said no because she had scammed us for the pets. We went on like that. We never really talked to her until one day she messaged me and said, hey, we haven't talked in a while. You want to become friends again? She'd also told Rachel the same exact thing. We told her no and blocked her because we didn't want to be friends with her anymore. And me and Rachel became best friends. Thank you guys so much.
There was this white dumby bumby mumby cumby hot Cheeto girl at my school. She acted like she owned the place and was a big bully. She made sickening homophobic and racist jokes. After my dumbass bitch-ass small pumpa pea-brain realized how wrong it was, I approached her. I told her how offensive her words are, and that flaky dandruff scalp bitch said, shut up bitch, I'll become your stepmom and beat you. So, I fucked her dad, videotaped it, and sent it to her. I made sure to be extra loud the next day she moved schools. Pretty sure I gave her trauma. Dumb bitch. Look what my stepsister did. She got into my account. She broke up with my girlfriend as me. My girlfriend won't pick up my calls or text me back. I don't know what to do.
So when I was little, my mom took me and my brother to the local pool. I was 12, he was 4. So while my mom and I sunbathed, he played in the kiddie pool. When all of a sudden he comes up to us and says, Mommy, I gotta go pee-pee. And instead of taking him to the bathroom, my mom said, go pee-pee in the pool. Shame on you, Carolyn. We continued to lay out in the sun until all of a sudden we hear everyone scream. Oh my God, some kids peeing in the kiddie pool. Torian didn't understand, and he went over to the kiddie pool, pulled down his pants, and pee-peed like he was peeing in the toilet. But my mom is clever, and she pretended like she didn't know whose kid it was, and we never went back to that pool again.
I am going to be telling you a scary childhood story. When I was 2 years old, my mom passed away. My dad wasn't in the picture, so I went to go live with my grandparents. My grandparents lived in a super old home that was built in the 1800s. I was a very imaginative child. So when I told my grandparents that I used to see people in the house, they just didn't believe me. There was one lady in particular that I would always see. She would sit at the end of my bed and watch me fall asleep. I wasn't scared of her because I thought she was an actual person. Plus, I was super little, so nothing even crossed my mind. At this point, I was like 4 or 5 years old. I remember her talking to me constantly. She even sang me the song Rockabye Baby to get me to go to bed one night. Every single day when I would get home, I could see her in my window. At that point, I thought she was just waiting for me. She just wanted to be my friend, right? But as I got older, things started to get really weird between me and her. She wasn't this nice lady anymore. Stay tuned for part 2. This is part 2 of the lady in my room who would sing me lullabies to get me to go to bed. No one else in my family could see her. She even told me that she was my mom. I really believed her. If you remember, my mom passed away when I was 2. So, it seemed pretty real that it was my mom. I didn't really remember what my mom's face looked like when she passed away. And this lady, could be my mom. She continued to sing me lullabies every single night when I would go to bed. She would always be waiting for me in the window when I would get home from school. But I figured out pretty quickly it wasn't my mom. My mom was a sweet, kind-hearted person. This spirit was evil. She would get mad at me every single time any of my friends would come over. She told me she could see my future and that I was going to go to hell after I died in a car accident. It scared me so much, but no one believed me. It got to the point where I never even wanted to go in the car because I thought I was going to die. She convinced me I was evil. Stay tuned for part 3 that's coming to. This is part 3 of the lady who used to sing me lullabies to get me to go to bed. This spirit was evil, and she started to convince me that I was evil too. She convinced me that I would go to hell because I was a horrible child, even though I wasn't. She convinced me that every single person in my life hated me. She even started to control my dreams, and I would wake up every single night screaming at the top of my lungs from a night terror, and she would be sitting at the end of my bed. This went on for years. When I turned 9, my grandpa passed away. And because it was a really big house, me and my grandma moved to a different house. And the evil spirit was just gone. I never saw her again. But was she really gone? When I was 15, I went to a psychic. The moment I walked into the room, she could feel a dark energy enter the room. She told me that someone was following me every single step I took. And when she said that, I knew exactly what she was talking about. After that, I went to a medium, and after many sessions with her, the dark presence was finally gone.
Hello guys, this is a story time from when I was in year 5. So there was this girl in my class called Rosie. She hated me so much. Someone in our class called Summer told me who Rosie liked one day. When Summer told me who she liked, I was shocked about who she liked, as the boy who she liked was my best friend. Little did anyone know I actually had a crush on my best friend. So when I found out that this bitch liked him, I wanted to drag her. I didn't have any friends because I was a loner, so I knew that if I had a fight with her I would probs get jumped. But the next day at break time I went up to that bitch and starting dragging her across the playground like a bad bitch. After that day she left the school and no one has ever seen her since. Ended up dating my best friend and becoming popular.
Hey guys, this is the last story time I'm gonna do today. I hope I can finish it all in one video. So me and my sister really wanted to walk with my grandpa around the lake. By the way, we were only like 5 or 4. So we had this one plan that we were gonna get our shoes. When we spot him from the window walking, we're gonna put them on and run to him. So we finally saw him running, and my sister was screaming my name to come. So I ran to her. I got my shoes. They were like high heels, I don't know what they were. And we put them on outside. We saw our grandpa and we caught up to him. And he told us to go close the gate. So my sister forced me to go do it. So I did, and then I caught up to them. Then my parents didn't know where we were because we didn't tell them we were on the lake walking with my grandpa. So they called the cops because they were looking around and they couldn't find us. When we came home, they told us that they called the cops. We got so scared. I literally hid under my blanket, and I don't know where my sister went. After like 60 minutes of scariness, we came out, and now every time me and my sister want to go on the lake with my grandpa, we ask my mom. Anyways, bye guys.
Story time about how a guy bothered me then got into a car accident. So basically I was just sitting in my car waiting for my food to get ready with my brother when I see a guy pull up with this car backing up to park in front of me. And he backed up so fast where he almost hit my car. So me and my brother honked at him and we're like, yo, like, watch out, you're about to hit the car. And he gets out of the car and he's like, I have eyes, I can see. Like, okay, you have eyes, but clearly you can't use them. So he goes inside the store to pick up his cake, and my brother goes inside to pick up our food. And by the time he comes back out, my brother's not back out yet. And I wanted to honk at him and be like, next time watch what you say. But he left, and then my brother came out right when he left, and he was at the light. And I was like, listen, we're gonna go catch this guy, and I'm gonna like beat him up. I mean, I really couldn't beat him up, but I just wanted to follow him, like give him the finger or whatever. So I'm driving and I feel like I lost him. I didn't find him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no. And then I found him. I saw his car and I went after him. But like for part 2, story time part 2, and how a guy bothered me, they got into a car accident. So basically I was following him, and then I finally saw his car, and I was like, yes. I told my brother, I was like, I'm gonna honk at him, give him the finger. So he saw us doing that, and I was like, yes, like I got my revenge. Like I just wanted to do that to him because he was being a whole jerk. So I thought he was turning at the light and he was gonna go on his way, and I went on my way, and I was waiting at the light to make a U-turn to go back home, and I was just like, yes, like that made my day because he got tight, he couldn't do anything. And we're sitting at the light, and I see his car pull up and like next to us, and he's holding his middle finger up and looking at us. So as he's doing that, we're giving the finger back, and he's not even looking in front of him to see if there's another car. So right when he's looking and giving us the finger, he hits the car in front of him. Me and my brother were like, yes, you idiot. Karma is a bee. That is what you get, hunte. So the guy got out of the car and he stopped him, and yeah.
Hello guys, this is another story time. I hope you liked the other one. So one day me and my cousin MIA was on holiday. Both of our parents trusted us now to go out on our own. I was 11 and MIA was 12 when this story happened. We was in Spain and we told our parents that us two was gonna go out for a bit, maybe to look in shops or go to the park. We finally went out and decided it would be a good idea to go into this forest that was down the road from our villa we was staying in. Bear in mind our parents told us to never go into the forest as something happened there about 4 years ago. So we walk into the forest and MIA thought it would be funny to prank me and say that she saw a man staring at us. As soon as she said this I shit myself and started crying. So guys, this is part 2. So after I started crying and having a heart attack, MIA tells me it was a prank. I slapped this bitch round the face and said, never do that again, you made me have a heart attack. So we carried on walking into the forest because we was dumb bitches at the time. After 10 minutes of walking, MIA stops and says there is someone behind that tree, I swear, but because she had already pranked me I didn't believe her. She starts crying and saying, I am not joking, I swear. After this I did start to believe her, and as I looked to my left I saw a tall man standing behind a tree staring at us. Bitch, when I tell you I had never ran so fucking fast in my life, I looked like Sonic zooming past all of these trees. We got out safely, and to this day my parents do still not know about this.
One time I was at my friend's house and I had to take this big boobaloo bigushy poop. He said okay and I ran to that bathroom and let the poop explode out of my rusty crusty alien looking butthole. It was really loud and there was also a lot of it. It wouldn't flush because there was so much, so I wiped my butthole, then went back to the room. She went to the bathroom a little after and saw the dirty gushy looking water in the toilet and ran back to the room and started yelling at me because she knew it was me. I said it wasn't and blamed it on her dog, but she said her dog died 2 days ago, so she kicked me out of her house and I had to walk.
Story time of how my best friend started dating me boy behind my back. So I was about 15 and my friends played a prank on me and my boyfriend was in on it, and the prank was me friend would kiss my boyfriend. I got so mad I slapped them both. They said it was a joke, so my dumb ass trusted them because she was my bestie when I was born, so I trust them because he was loyal. Or so I thought. Then I show up at his house about a month later because it was his birthday and we haven't talked in a while, so I came over because I had a key. So I walked in and saw them both, my BF and me best friend, making out. He screamed at me and I just started crying because me best friend was real liberty and I wouldn't stand a chance. I kicked him in that place and punched her. They tried calling their parents but I left before they could.
So this is a story about how me and my friend wanted to sneak out in 2nd grade to go on a Disney cruise. We were in 2nd grade, so we didn't really know the realistics of things. We were pretty dumb. Each day, one of us or none of us would hide behind a trash can and wait until the lobby was empty of people and sneak out through the bathroom window. When one of us came or none of us came, we would get pretty mad at each other, but then we made up because we really wanted to go on the Disney cruise. Once I thought she was late for class and I hid behind there and I waited until everyone was out of the lobby and more because I thought she was late. My grandma, who worked at the school, came to give me my lunch and I wasn't there, so she got pretty worried. She called my mom and my mom said I was supposed to be there, so everyone was looking for me. When they found me, I got in big trouble, but let's just get back to the story. So we would hide there every day, and one day we actually both came. I'm sorry, we're running out of time. Come back for part 2. Bye! Okay, so this is part 2. So when we finally got to, the bathroom both together, we hid in one of the bathroom stalls. We were there for a good hour just waiting for everyone to be out and for everything to be good. And then this girl came in and she saw both of our feet in the bathroom stall. She snitched on us, and we didn't get our trip. The vice principal came and got us out, and also the secretary, and we both got in big trouble. We did it again, but we always regretted not going, even though it was a horrible idea at first. I don't even know how we would get food or water or something, but we planned to just go to Target and get stuff. I don't know how we would pay for it. I don't know how we would pay for the cruise either, or the airport tickets. We just assumed it would be handed to us. I don't know what we were thinking. But yeah, that's my story. Bye.
Hey, so this stupid bitch named Ellen fucking told on me for talking with my friend in PE class because I had knee problems, and then her bitch ass mom, she was a PE teacher, to tell the one in charge at the moment. Then I had to go in with the one in charge, and it was too awkward because I didn't answer none of her questions. Then this bitch Ellen really decided to ask me if she could play with me after this bitch told on me. This isn't part of the story, but I would like to apologize for the awkward silence that appears after stories. It's hard to edit them in with the whole video. So my friends and I have this kind of a tradition, I guess you could call it, where every summer our parents rent a house and we kinda just live together for a few days. This was our second year doing our tradition, and our parents rented a one-story house that was in this neighborhood with a whole bunch of nicer looking houses. The house was not that great looking inside and out. When we went looking around for what rooms we would sleep in, we found a few things that kinda freaked us out. When we went to look at this one bedroom, there were painting of weird creepy looking circus clowns painted on the walls, and in the bathroom Britney Spears was painted on the wall. A lot of the pictures were kind scary as well. The first day we went out to a restaurant that we went to the first time. After that we went home and watched a movie. After the movie we went to our bedrooms. We all wanted to sleep in the same room, but our parents were hesitant because 2 boys and 3. So our parents decided to only let the younger boy sleep with us girls. My sister had her iPad in the room, so we started making movies. They took him out because we were making too much noise. We continued making movies with my sister's iPad, but our parents heard that, and they took out our friend that was a girl. Soon my mom came into the room to sleep with us while we were falling asleep. My sister said something was under her pillow, so my mom lifted up her pillow to see what it was. Under her pillow was an empty Advil packet. My mom threw it away and said she would contact the homeowners the next morning. The next day we all went to the backyard. The backyard opened out into the woods, so we were all on the deck exploring until we found the door to the garage. We found a picture of a band called Slipknot, and it scared us all. That wasn't the only thing though. On the grass there were cigarette butts and smashed beer bottles. So the next morning we all got dressed in our swimsuits, and then put our normal clothes over because we were gonna go tubing in the stream in the town. Once we got there we blew up the tubes and ran over to the river thing. We started off staying close to the main group of people, but we went up the hill. There were homeless men up there, and the 3 of us girls kinda avoided them because they kinda catcalled us, which was really disturbing. We went in a big group and we got scraped from the rocks. It was really fun because we were constantly pushing each other out of the tubes. Once we finished tubing we went to the road to put our tubes back into the car, but we encountered these boys that were saying their mom died. One of the 3 boys challenged the younger boy to a rap battle. The other 2 boys were acting all tough and actually really annoying. They went to the park for the battle, but nothing happened until... Sorry that I've been gone guys, I've been going through a raw time, so I had to take a break. Anyway, when we went to the park and they didn't rap battle, we kinda separated until they followed us to the swings. This gets bad, so I'm going to put a trigger warning: self-harm assault. They threatened to slit our throats and hang us. So I said I'd like to see you try. They said okay then come here. One of the short stubby ones had a knife. It was a butter knife. So asked why he had a butter knife and he said to cut me. I stared at him blankly and told him that a butter knife can't cut me. He said yeah it can, so I said okay. I knew he was lying but still agreed to do it. After I got up off the swing, my friend's dad walked over and they got scared, so they ran to the stream. They ran to their mom. If you remember in the first part,
This was 2 years ago. I was at school, and it was a normal day until the principal went on the speaker and said, "We're in lockdown, go in your closets." So we went ahead and went in the closets. We were all confused. Some people were scared. Everyone was like kind of asking the teacher what was going on and stuff. Now during this time, I wasn't asking anything or saying anything because I knew during a lockdown you don't want to say anything. So if there is someone in the school, they won't find where you are. But I was still listening to them because I was curious like everyone else. So while everyone was asking the questions, one girl stood up and said, "If you're not going to say what's going on, I'm going to get out of the closet." The teacher yelled at her and told her no. And the teacher yelled loud, so whoever was in the school obviously heard. So the door opened and everyone became silent. Welcome to part 2. Okay, so the guy that came into our school was a prisoner that escaped prison. So he was like, "Where are you?" And he stood in there for at least 10 minutes. Then we thought he left, but he was completely silent, and the teacher gave us a look saying, "Do not talk and do not move." So we all listened to the way he looked, and my best friend, the girl that stood up saying she would leave, got up and left. She thought that the guy was gone and she was going to get a counselor. So as soon as she got out of the room, we heard gunshots. As soon as the gunshots said that, I knew immediately what happened. I started crying and I thought that she was dead. The guy didn't even try to come in the room that we were in, even though he knew where we were. He immediately left knowing that he should have not shot the girl. Wait for part 3. Welcome to part 3. So as soon as the guy left, we got out of the closet and started panicking. We didn't know what to do since she was shot in the head and we knew that she wouldn't make it. So we were all freaking out and so was I, and I was crying and I just couldn't breathe right and I didn't know what to do. The speaker went off saying that the police and the ambulance were coming since the principal heard a gunshot too. So when the police came, they found the guy who was hiding in a locker and he got contained and took him to the police office. The ambulance were here and went in the room and took her. They said with their face, saying she would not make it. That was the worst day of my life. So the ambulance took her, and about 2 days later, we weren't allowed to go to the school since the guy was still on the loose. He escaped. So we all had to stay at our homes, and I visited my friend, and I didn't know she died. That was the end of the story. Thank you for watching.
So today in English class, our English teacher was going through the rules again, just because I guess like some people were forgetting them or like breaking the rules. So anyway, she was like, "Just to remind you guys, there's no food in class.
Hi.
No talking to your neighbor without permission. And if I catch you with your phones, then you're..."
Oh, mean teacher, mean.
When she said that part about the phones, this kid raised his hand, and he's like a really creepy kid. And he was like, "Well, what if I shoot you?"
Ooh,
Like,
oh.
Hold up. What? You're starting to shoot a teacher? So
Oh,
I just looked at him.
you're in
and I threw
trouble.
my desk away, and the whole class went silent. Like, no one said anything. We're all just staring at him. Like, we were all just in shock. Like, did he just threaten to shoot a teacher? After like 10 seconds of it,
she would not make it. That was the worst day of my life. So the ambulance took her and up loose. He escaped. I didn't know.
Our English teacher was going through the rules again, just to remind you guys, there's no food in class.
Hi.
No talking to your neighbor without permission, and if I catch you with your phones, then you're...
Oh, mean teacher, mean.
And got the police officer to come and get him. It was so scary. The whole school was in lockdown, and they wouldn't tell us if he had a gun or not. Like,
my ears. Roblox. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. I said I quit. I hope she knows. No, 'cause I quit. What's the reason to join if I quit?
Been throw attention. Fuck you, and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. Fuck you, and you. This that hot girl on my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. This the college dropout music. Everyday like that she be too thick. And my friends are all annoying, but we go dumb, yeah, we go stupid. This the college dropout music. Everyday like that she be too thick. And my friends are all annoying, but we go dumb, yeah, we go stupid. We go stupid, we go stupid, we go.
And you want me to change? Fuck you!
Fuck you, and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. I'm through. This that hot girl on my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. Fuck you, and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. Fuck you, and you. This that hot girl on my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. Fuck you, and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. I'm through. This that hot girl by my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. This that hot girl by my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. This that throw up in your Birkin bag. Hook up with someone random. This that social awkward suicide. That buy your lips and buy your likes. I swear she had a man, but shit hit different when it's Thursday night. That college dropout music. Everyday like that she be too thick. And my friends are all annoying, but we go dumb, yeah, we go stupid. This the 10K on the table just so we can be secluded. And the vodka came diluted. One more line, I'm superhuman. Fuck you, and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. I'm through. This that hot girl by my anthem. Turn it up and throw attention. Fuck you, and you.